Chapter 41-54. The Nine Heavens realm was much bigger than the empty spirit world. The number of cultivators here was also huge. Countless Supremes participated in the Supreme Battle. After a few days of selection, most of the cultivators were eliminated. The remaining cultivators entered the knockout stage. Everyone knew that. After entering the knockout stage, there were no weak opponents. One couldn't underestimate their opponent. Otherwise, they might be defeated. Fang Chun naturally understood this principle. He had never underestimated his opponent. He had been carefully observing the fighting habits of every potential opponent, as well as their fighting techniques and secret technique. This information was extremely important. As the saying goes, know thyself and know thy enemy to be victorious. Because of the rules of the knockout stage, Fang Chen's battle officially started on the third day. His opponent was a genius disciple from a small sect. His name was Wang Zhan, and he was the biggest dark horse in this year's Supreme Battle. His cultivation was only at the high-level Supremes, but his fighting strength was at the peak of the Supreme Realm. In the selection, there was almost no one who could force him to use his full strength. Moreover, he kept a low profile, hovering on the edge of advancing to the knockout stage. Now, he was facing Wang Zhan in the first round of the knockout stage. This gave sect leader Wang a headache. Be careful. This Wang Zhan is very strong and ruthless. If you can't defeat him, just admit defeat. Don't fight him head-on. Sect leader Wang reminded. He was also afraid that Fang Chen would be crippled by Wang Zhan. After all, this guy was sent by the white-robed old ancestor. If something happened to him, he would be responsible. Brother, you're a little unlucky. You're facing a freak like Wang Zhan in the first round of the knockout stage. Yeah, I've heard of this guy before. He kills people like flies. The remaining two disciples of the Cloud Mountain sect patted Fang Chen's shoulder and comforted him. Is he strong? Fang Chen shrugged. Why did everyone think that he would be defeated by Wang Zhan? Shouldn't Wang Zhan be the one worried? Of course he's strong. The disciple of the Cloud Mountain sect was about to introduce Wang Zhan to Fang Chen, but the latter's words made him swallow his words. Stronger than Wang Xian? Fang Chen asked seriously. Brother, there was no way to chat. Who was Wang Xian? He was the strongest Supremes in the Three-Dragon world. He was also a popular candidate for the Supreme Battle. Although Wang Zhan was strong, he couldn't be compared to Wang Xian. Seeing this, Fang Chen shook his head. How could Wang Zhan's Wang? However, the crowd didn't care about what he was thinking. The moment he and Wang Zhan looked at each other, everyone came to the conclusion that Wang Zhan would definitely win. On the stage, Wang Zhan looked at Fang Chen calmly. The corners of his lips curled up as a look of disdain appeared on his face. Kid, I'll give you a chance. If Wang Zhan Zhan Lin. Zhan, good, very good. Wang Zhan also didn't expect that the other party would dare to speak to him in such a manner. He was so angry that he couldn't help but say the word good 3 times. Then, Wang Zhan took out his axe. His whole body was emitting a terrifying bloody aura, like a violent lion. Die. Wang Zhan used his strongest technique. He didn't give Fang Chen any chance. He wanted to end the battle quickly. This guy doesn't know how high the sky is. That's right, Wang Zhan kindly reminded him to admit defeat. He actually dared to speak such arrogant words. He is simply courting death. He won't have a good ending if he angers Wang Zhan. The crowd whispered among themselves. They all thought that Fang Chen was doomed. Even if he didn't die, he would be seriously injured. On the stage, the upper echelons of the Cloudy Palace and the leaders of the various sects didn't pay much attention to the battle. Their attention was attracted by the battle of geniuses on the stage. There was only one person who had been paying attention to Fang Chen from the beginning to the end. That was the Lady of Charm, Qin Qing. Wang Zhan is doomed. The moment Fang Chen made his move, Qin Qing already knew that Wang Zhan would definitely lose. That was the truth. Under the attentive gazes of the crowd, Fang Chen blocked Wang Zhan's axe with his bare hands. Then, he used his other fist to fiercely smash Wang Zhan's head with a powerful force. Immediately, Wang Zhan let out a miserable shriek and was directly sent flying out of the stage. Bang! Wang Zhan's burly body fell to the ground, creating a crater. He lost his ability to fight. On the other hand, Fang Chen was unharmed. He stood calmly on the stage. Boom! The onlookers were in an uproar. Everyone cried out in alarm. What had just happened? Why had Wang Zhan been defeated by a single punch? Oh my God, Wang Zhan was defeated? How could this be? Who is that guy? He's too strong. He defeated the number 1 dark horse. Those who thought that Fang Chen would lose felt their faces burning. They felt like they had been slapped in the face. At the same time, their hearts were trembling. This disciple of the Cloud Mountain sect was too strong. Finally, some of the upper echelons on the stage shifted their attention to Fang Chen. Not bad. After a long time, one of them said that word. This kind of evaluation was a great honor for the contestants, but it didn't matter to Fang Chen. You're too monstrous. After Fang Chen walked down from the arena, 2 disciples of the Cloud Mountain sect surrounded him and shouted excitedly. Amazing! You're the first person to convince me, said the other. Sect leader Wang let out a sigh of relief. At the same time, he was even more curious. How strong was Fang Chen? In the crowd, the charming Qin Qing had a resplendent smile on her face. Her beautiful eyes twinkled as she looked at Fang Chen. What a strange guy! The fact that Fang Chen was able to resist her charm was enough to show how extraordinary he was. It was just that the crowd was ignorant and didn't know about it. However, Qin Qing, was extremely interested in Fang Chen. Wang Xian, who was next to Qin Qing, frowned. He felt that there was something familiar about Fang Chen, as if he had seen him somewhere before. But soon, he shook his head. His real body had been cultivating in the 3-dragon world. His clone had just arrived in the 9 heavens realm. It was impossible for him to know Fang Chen. However, he would never have dreamed that Fang Chen would be here. The person in front of him was Shui Feng from the assassin team. The elimination round continued as usual. However, the assassin team was facing their first crisis in the new mysterious territory of the Dark Net. The 5 members of the assassin team had successfully gathered and moved to a safe place as fast as possible. However, the White Emperor Palace's team had found traces and followed them. Wang Xian, we don't want to be your enemy. We only want him, said the leader, pointing at Fang Chen. Chapter 41-55. Although White Cloud Field was not a strong field in the 3,000 worlds of the Great Path, it had accumulated a lot of power over the years. Especially in the Dark Net, there were many strong cultivators who worked for White Cloud Field. Among them, the White Emperor Palace was the leader. Currently, the White Cloud Realms team had directly locked onto the location of the Assassins team. They had surrounded them in a corner, but because Wang Xian's strength was too strong, they were unwilling to become enemies with him. Thus, they only wanted to bring Fang Chen away. Wang Xian, the White Imperial Palace doesn't want to be your enemy. We just want to take him away. If you cooperate, the White Imperial Palace will give you a great gift, said the leader of the White Cloud Boundaries group, while smiling. Fang Chen's face was solemn, and he was ready to attack. But before Wang Xian could speak, his good brother Bai Long waved his hand and rejected the White Cloud Field team's request. Brother Xiefeng is a member of our assassin team. We have no reason to cooperate with you. Banish him. Bai Long's attitude was firm. Wang Xian nodded. Since we are a team, we will not give up anyone. If White Emperor Palace wants to touch Brother Xiefeng, I will not agree. The other 2 also stepped forward, emitting a terrifying aura. They stood in front of Fang Chen and glared at the White Cloud Field team. The leader of the White Cloud Field team shrugged and sneered. So, there is no room for discussion? Wang Xian was silent, but his attitude showed everything. The leader of the White Cloud Field Team continued, Wang Xian, are you determined to be enemies with White Emperor Palace? Your clone is participating in the supreme battle in Nine Heavens Realm. Aren't you afraid that White Emperor Palace will find you? Even though the distance between the White Cloud Realm and the Nine Heavens Realm was very far, Emperor Bai could easily get there. Are you threatening me? As expected, Wang Xian's pitch-black eyes flickered coldly when he heard the words as he said in a sinister tone. The leader of the White Cloud Field Team said, I am not threatening you, but this person offended White Emperor Palace. Emperor Bai said that we must capture this person at all costs. Boom. Wang Xian did not speak, but his actions proved his determination. He was not afraid of White Emperor Palace's threat. So what if they found his clone? Unless a Tao Realm expert made a move, he was not afraid of anyone in the Supreme Being Realm. Even those who had just entered the Tao Realm might not be able to keep him here. Crack! Wang Xian's hands clenched into fists. In the next instant, a fiery light was emitted from his fists. With a speed invisible to the naked eye, he punched towards the captain of the White Cloud Realm. Upon seeing this, Wang Xian's face warped in shock. He hurriedly circulated his strength to defend himself, but there was still a gap between his strength and Wang Xian's. Thus, he was sent flying by the latter's overwhelming strength. Thud, thud, thud. When the other members of the White Cloud Jie team saw this, they couldn't care less. They attacked together, trying to encircle Wang Xian. Unfortunately, they underestimated the overall strength of the assassin team. When Fang Chen and the other three attacked together, they instantly turned the situation around and put the White Cloud Jie team at a disadvantage. Wang Xian, are you crazy? The eyes of the captain of the White Cloud Jie team were scarlet red. He bared his teeth and shouted madly. However, Wang Xian didn't care at all. Since they had attacked, then they shouldn't blame him for being impolite. Boom, boom, boom. The battle was very fierce and fast. In the blink of an eye, the other members of the White Cloud Jie team were defeated. Only the captain was left. Seeing that the situation wasn't good, the captain of the White Cloud Jie team couldn't care less. He directly betrayed his 4 teammates and used them to block and successfully escape. However, the 4 of them weren't so lucky. They were instantly killed by Fang Chen and the others. Fang Chen still wanted to chase after them. He wanted to get rid of them completely, but he was stopped by Wang Xian. There's no need to chase after them. He's just a clown, Wang Xian said domineeringly. Brother Fang, when did you offend the White Emperor Palace? The burly man Lu Qing asked. Although the White Cloud Jie isn't strong, the White Emperor Palace can't be underestimated. Especially the ancient monster White Emperor. He has lived for too long. We need to be careful, another person said. Fang Chen shrugged helplessly. The people of the White Emperor Palace accidentally broke into the chaotic world and wanted to refine it. He naturally wouldn't agree. In the end, the people of the White Emperor Palace were killed by him. He couldn't expose the chaotic world, could he? He just gave a simple excuse. The members of the team didn't ask for details. Wang Xian and Bai Long looked at Fang Chen. They patted their chests and said, Brother Blood Mountain, don't worry. You don't need to worry about the revenge of the White Emperor Palace in the dark net. We're here. As long as they don't know your real identity and locate you in the real world, there won't be any danger, Wang Xian said. Many people in the dark net hid their identities. As long as they didn't actively expose their identities, no one could find them, unless it was the high-level experts of the Hydra organization. However, for those experts they were like ants. They wouldn't care at all. Fang Chen nodded. He was calm. This was just a small episode on his cultivation path. His original body was still comprehending the mystery in the peach blossom forest. His consciousness was in the new secret land of the dark net, exploring with the assassins. As for the fire clone, it was in the Nine Heavens realm to participate in the supreme battle. As the supreme battle went on, Fang Chen's name gradually became famous. Many experts began to pay attention to him, and even began to dig into his background. Sect leader Wang of the Cloud Mountain sect was full of smiles. The higher Fong Chen's ranking was, the more benefits it would bring to the Cloud Mountain sect. At the same time, he was very grateful to the white-robed ancestor. He didn't expect the white-robed ancestor to send him such an excellent disciple. It was a surprise. The white-robed ancestor, who was hiding in the dark, stroked his beard and looked at Fong Chen with a smile. He's worthy of being a member of the black-robed ancestor. Interesting. The white-robed ancestor murmured to himself. With Fong Chen's current strength, it wasn't a problem for him to enter the top 10 of the supreme battle. The white-robed ancestor was very curious. If Fong Chen fought with Wang Xian, who would win? However, no matter what Fong Chen's result was, the white-robed ancestor would give him the thing left by the black-robed ancestor after the supreme battle. As for what would happen in the future, it would depend on his luck. Young man, I hope you won't disappoint the black-robed ancestor. The white-robed ancestor looked sad when he mentioned the black-robed ancestor. Obviously, he knew very well that the thing he was guarding was exchanged with the black-robed ancestor's life. Moreover, he also thought of the scene where they once fought side by side. Alas, my good brother, maybe it won't be long before I come to accompany you. The white-robed ancestor sighed. They were in such a dangerous situation back then. It was only because of the black-robed ancestor that the white-robed ancestor survived until now. But recently, he felt that the danger of death was approaching again. His intuition told him that maybe it wouldn't be long before he did that thing. Chapter 4156. In the new mystery land of the Dark Net. The assassin team was very strong, especially Wang Xian, who was known as the strongest supreme being in the 3 dragon realms. After killing the 4 members of the team from the White Cloud realm, they had broken through all obstacles and entered the hinterland of the new mystery land. The closer they got to the hinterland, the more oppressive the atmosphere in the air was. The teams they met were also very strong. Not long ago, their team encountered a mysterious team. After a round of battle, the mysterious team was actually able to withstand the frenzied attacks of the members of the team of assassins without being defeated. Because the commotion caused by the battle was too great, it attracted the attention of many other teams. Thus, the team of assassins directly left and did not continue to fight. This also told them that they couldn't let their guard down. Otherwise, they would bring disaster to themselves. After arriving at a secluded place, Wang Xian recalled, I remember that the leader of the team just now was from the Demon Mountain. There were only a few supreme beings in the Dark Net who were famous. Wang Xian was known as the strongest supreme being in the 3 dragon realms, but he could only be ranked in the top 100 on the supreme list of the Dark Net. The burly man, Mo Shan, was ranked 80th, which was 20 places higher than him. Of course, the 3,000 realms of the Great Path were endless. Many hidden experts couldn't join the Hydra organization, nor could they enter the Dark Net. Therefore, the ranking on the Dark Net was limited to the members of the Hydra organization. People like Fong Chen, who killed the members of the Hydra organization and used their identity information to enter the Dark Net, were very few. However, even the Dark Net included many geniuses in the 3,000 realms of the Great Path. Being able to be ranked in the top 100 of the Supreme Being realm was enough to prove Wang Xian's strength. Top 100? Fong Chen sighed. Wang Xian was ranked in the top 100 and was known as the strongest supreme being in the 3 dragon realms. He was almost invincible in the 9 heavens realm. From this point, it could be seen that the realms they were in were considered remote peripheral realms in the 3,000 realms of the Great Path. According to 9th Senior Brother, the Carefree King, any one of those core realms could shatter an ordinary realm with a single punch. Moreover, some people were born as supremes. After cultivating for 10,000 years, they could step into the Tao realm. There were even special Tao clans. Those clans were the top forces in the 3,000 realms of the Great Tao. People from their factions could touch the threshold of the Tao realm the moment they were born. This was extremely terrifying. Of course, compared to the primordial world before it shattered, this was nothing. However, the primordial world had been shattered in the end. It was nearly impossible for cultivators to restore the primordial world to its former glory. The ninth brother had once said that if there was any force that could restore the glory of the Hong Meng world, it would be the Palace of Fortune. Other than that, no other force could do it. Moreover, after so many years, even he wasn't sure how many people from the Palace of Fortune were still alive. There's still a long way to go. The more Fang Chen learned about the 3,000 realms of the Great Tao, the more emotional he felt. If the cultivators of the 3,000 realms of the Great Path knew that the Chaos Realm was the original realm that they had been chasing in their dreams, it would inevitably cause a great commotion. It might even bring disaster to the Chaos Realm. Therefore, he had to work hard to increase his strength. One day, he would be able to stand at the top of the 3,000 realms of the Great Tao. Only then would he have the strength to protect the Chaos Realm. Of course, it was too difficult to reach this step. However, Fang Chen would not give up. This was just the beginning. Buzz. Just as the members of the assassin squad were chatting, a dazzling light suddenly flashed in the open space not far away. It attracted the attention of Wang Xian and the others. What's that? Wang Xian was the first to rush to the light. After a few seconds, another dazzling light flashed out from the soil. Seeing this, Wang Xian raised his hand and blasted the soil away. A luminous pearl came into view. What is this? Bai Long also came over and asked. Lu Qing and the other person were confused. This was just an ordinary luminous pearl. It wasn't worth anything. However, Wang Xian's expression was unusually serious. This was because when he held the pearl, he felt the power within the pearl pulsing. This is the Blood Demon Pearl? What? Bai Long exclaimed. This new secret realm was indeed impressive. They had just entered and already found the precious Blood Demon Pearl. That's right. This is the Blood Demon Pearl. Wang Xian exerted a little force and injected his power. Suddenly, a scarlet color appeared inside the pearl. In the blink of an eye, the pearl turned blood red and revealed its true appearance. The Blood Demon Pearl was an extremely special pearl. It contained the power of the Blood Demon. After a Supreme Realm warrior swallowed it, their strength would increase greatly. In fact, it was similar to a disguised elixir. Fang Chen also knew about the Blood Demon Pearl. If one wanted to buy it on the darknet, they would need a lot of points. There's more over there. Suddenly, Bai Long screamed. Immediately after, Lu Qing and the other person kept finding Blood Demon Pearls in the soil. Soon, the members of the assassin squad discovered that there was something strange about the soil. There were countless Blood Demon Pearls below. They excitedly collected the Blood Demon Pearls with excited smiles on their faces. After a while, Fang Chen picked up hundreds of Blood Demon Pearls. If this was the dark net, taking out so many Blood Demon Pearls at once would definitely cause a commotion. However, the 5 members of the assassin squad had each obtained hundreds of Blood Demon Pearls. It was simply terrifying. Hurry up. The abnormality here might attract other squads, Wang Xian said. Then, the 5 members of the assassin squad quickly dug out the Blood Demon Pearls from the soil. They had a great harvest. However, as time passed, more and more Blood Demon Pearls were dug out. The smell of blood in the air became thicker. Finally, after a few hours, several squads were attracted. When they found the Blood Demon Pearls everywhere, their eyes widened. Oh my God, there's actually such a place in the new secret realm. The Blood Demon Pearls here are all mine. None of you can touch them. Humph, my Heavenly King squad was the first to arrive. The members of the squads didn't care about anything else and started to fight for this piece of land. The 5 members of the assassin squad quietly left under Wang Xian's lead. The other squads were arguing fiercely and didn't have the time to care about them. Why did we leave? Bai Long was unwilling. Why give up so many blood demon pearls? A man's wealth is his own ruin. Fang Chen explained. If we don't leave, more and more squads will arrive. By then, we'll be the target of public criticism because we were the first to arrive and collected a large number of blood demon pearls. No matter how strong their overall strength was, they couldn't fight against the siege of so many squads. Brother Blood Mountain is right, Wang Xian said. One shouldn't be too greedy. However, what they didn't expect was that even though they left carefully, they were still targeted. Chapter 4157. This area was very special. Blood demon pearls could be seen everywhere on the ground. Some of the teams that had just arrived immediately went into a frenzy. They frantically snatched the blood demon pearls. As the first team to arrive here, the 5 members of the assassin squad had already quietly shifted their positions and left. Each of them had an average of over 100 blood demon pearls. If this news were to spread, it would definitely cause a huge commotion. Even after they had gone far away, they could still hear countless murderous cries behind them. It was obvious that these were the fights between the teams. Bai Long and the others were glad that they had listened to Fang Chen and left immediately. Otherwise, they would definitely be surrounded and beaten up. At that time, they might even lose their lives, let alone over 100 blood demon pearls. Phew! After a long time, Wang Xian confirmed that there was no danger. The members of the assassin team stopped and sat on the ground, gasping for breath. Let's rest here for a while before continuing our exploration, Wang Xian said. However, no matter how careful they were still targeted. They were targeted by an extremely powerful team. Their leader was Wang Xian's sworn enemy. He was also an expert of the Supreme Realm. It was said that he had touched the threshold of the Tao realm not long ago. His ranking in the dark net had shot up to the top 50. In the dark, the black-clothed man sneered. He looked at Wang Xian and the others as if they were his prey. Blood demon pearls. He had followed them from a place where blood demon pearls were everywhere. He knew very well that these 5 people had at least 500 blood demon pearls on them. As long as he killed them, he could easily obtain the blood demon pearls without having to fight with the other teams. Although the black-clothed man was not afraid of anyone, he would still be exhausted if he was ganged up on by the others. Moreover, it would affect his subsequent fight. Whoosh! Suddenly, when the 5 team members were resting, the black-clothed man silently appeared. Wang Xian stood up immediately. When he saw that it was the black-clothed man, his face became extremely solemn. It's you. Wang Xian frowned. Wang Xian, how long has it been since we last fought? The black-clothed man asked with a smile. 3 years, Wang Xian said. 3 years ago, the 2 of them fought and ended in a draw. The man in black shrugged. You don't seem to have made any progress in the past 3 years. I've already touched the threshold of the Tao realm. I'm ranked in the top 50 of the dark net. It's time to settle our grudges. Fang Chen was startled. He did not expect that the black-clothed man in front of him had actually touched the threshold of the Tao realm. Their situation seemed to be somewhat dangerous. He had personally seen a Tao realm expert who could destroy a world region with one gaze. That was just too terrifying, and they weren't on the same level at all. You guys go first. Wang Xian was very loyal. He let Fang Chen and the others go first while he stayed behind to cover the rear. Haha, can all of you leave if I don't agree? The black-clothed man laughed in disdain and said, Wang Xian, aren't you too naive? Do you think you're still a match for me? The black-robed man was confident that he had touched the threshold of the Tao realm. Moreover, the top 50 of the dark net and the top 100 were 2 different concepts. You're known as the strongest honorable in the 3 dragon realms. That's just because the honorables in the 3 dragon realms are weaker. With me here, none of you will be able to leave today. The black-robed man suddenly changed the topic and said, however, if you guys hand over the blood demon pearls obediently, I can let you guys go. In fact, The black-robed man had his own considerations when he gave such a condition. Although he had touched the threshold of the Tao realm and his combat power was obviously stronger than Wang Xian's, if Wang Xian really went all out, it would consume a lot of his energy. Everyone wanted to explore a new mystery realm. The black-robed man was no exception. He did not want to waste too much energy on dealing with Wang Xian and cause him to be unable to fight for the subsequent opportunities. If he could get more than 500 blood demon pearls without losing a single soldier, that would naturally be the best. Wang Xian seemed to understand the black-robed man's thoughts. He sneered and released a terrifying power to fight with the black-robed man. At the same time, he secretly sent a voice transmission to Fang Chen and the others to leave quickly. "No, we can't leave you behind." His good brother, Bai Long, joined the battle without hesitation. Seeing this, Fang Chen and the other two were not afraid and joined the battle as well. In an instant, the 5 assassins of the assassin team surrounded the black-robed man. Boom, boom, boom. Seeing this, the black-robed man's face turned extremely gloomy. He formed a complicated seal with his hands and directly used his strongest power. There was also a trace of special power that was separated from heaven and earth for him to use. Is that the power of the Tao realm? Fang Chen muttered to himself. He had seen a Tao realm expert fight before and naturally knew about it. A Tao realm expert could extract power from heaven and earth for his own use. This kind of power was very special and destructive. An ordinary honorable would not be able to resist it at all. As expected, when the black-robed man's fists landed on the burly man, Lu Qing, the latter screamed and flew out, losing his combat power. The other person hurriedly left the battle circle and helped Lu Qing up. "Let's go." Lu Qing had no combat power left. He would only be waiting for death if he stayed, so he had to be sent away. Wang Xian and the other two continued to increase their strength and encircle the black-robed man. "You're courting death." The black-robed man aimed at Fang Chen and punched again. The power of the Tao realm directly penetrated Fang Chen's body. However, to everyone's surprise, he was not sent flying. Instead, he absorbed the power of the Tao realm into his body. Humph, even the gods can't save you. Even the black-robed man could not fully control the power of the Tao realm. He had only touched the threshold of the Tao realm and could barely use a trace of it. This stupid guy in front of him actually absorbed the power of the Tao realm into his body. He was definitely going to die. "Brother Blood Mountain!" Wang Xian and Bai Long also shouted loudly. However, Fang Chen did not seem to hear them. The expected explosion of the power of the Tao realm did not happen. Instead, after the power of the Tao realm entered his body, it became extremely docile. In the end, it was suppressed by his heart power and then absorbed and refined. Fang Chen was stunned. His heart power could actually suppress the power of the pseudo-Tao realm? Whoosh! Soon, a smile appeared on his face. "How much more of this power of yours do you have?" As he spoke, he walked towards the black-robed man step by step. The power of the pseudo-Tao realm could actually help the growth of his heart power. Fang Chen was overjoyed. Wang Xian and Bai Long were confused. This guy was too abnormal, wasn't he? However, they did not have time to be shocked. The two of them quickly followed and fought side by side with Fang Chen. How could this be? The black-robed man thought that Fang Chen was putting on an act. He continued to activate the power of the pseudo-Tao realm, wanting to kill the three of them. Chapter 4158. The black-robed man could not figure out what was going on. How could an advanced supreme being withstand his pseudo-Tao realm power? One should know. Reaching the threshold of the Tao realm and comprehending the power of the pseudo-Tao realm was already considered very powerful among the ultimate supremes. After all, it had the word Tao in it. Even if it was the power of the pseudo-Tao realm, its power was not something that an ordinary supremes could withstand. Therefore, when Fang Chen easily withstood the pseudo-Tao realm power and was unharmed, the black-robed man was completely stunned. Brother Xuefeng? Bai Long and Wang Xian were shocked. Both of them were ultimate supreme beings, but they could not withstand the pseudo-Dao realm power. They did not expect Xuefeng to be able to withstand it. I'm fine. Soon, Fang Chen looked up and smiled. Heart power could not only absorb the pseudo-Dao realm power, but it could also strengthen himself. This made Fang Chen eager to try. He wanted to see if his heart power would increase if he absorbed more pseudo-Dao realm power. One should know. In the 3,000 realms of the Great Dao, cultivators of the spirit lineage were extremely rare. It was even more difficult to increase one's heart power. Even in the Palace of Fortune before the primordial world was destroyed, it was not easy to increase one's heart power. Now that he finally found a way, Fang Chen would not miss it. Humph! After a short shock, the black-robed man steadied himself. He did not believe that his pseudo-Dao realm power could be blocked by Xuefeng indefinitely. I'd like to see how much you can block. As soon as he finished speaking, the black-robed man opened his arms and frantically activated the power in his body. Pseudo-Dao realm power constantly peeled out from the space and bombarded Fang Chen's body. To everyone's surprise, not only did Fang Chen not dodge, he even took the initiative to absorb it. Seeing this, Wang Xian was completely stunned. What kind of freak was Xuefeng? Lu Qing was scared. Fortunately, Xuefeng did not stoop to their level. Otherwise, they would have been seriously injured or even killed by Xuefeng. Sick. Lu Qing could not help but complain. Boom! Boom! A deafening sound reverberated across the horizon as the terrifying fake Dao realm energy crazily bombarded Fang Chen's body. The latter felt as though he was bathing in sunlight as his entire body felt incomparably comfortable. The heart power within his body rapidly absorbed the fake Dao realm energy. No, that's impossible. The black-robed man had gone completely mad. There was actually someone in the Supreme Being realm who could absorb the power of the pseudo-Dao realm without any limit and remain unharmed. This was simply a fantasy story. He refused to believe it. However, no matter how hard he rubbed his eyes, the truth was the truth. No. After around 15 minutes, the black-clothed man was completely exhausted and could no longer utilize the pseudo-Dao realm energy. At this moment, Fang Chen had also completely absorbed the last trace of the pseudo-Dao realm energy. He stretched his body and slowly opened his eyes with a smile on his face. In just 15 minutes, his heart force had already reached the limit of the second layer. He was only one step away from the third layer. This was definitely an unexpected harvest. That's great. This feeling was very satisfying. You're a demon. When the black-robed man saw Fang Chen, his heart was filled with horror as he frantically retreated. Even the power of the pseudo-Dao realm could not suppress him. The outcome was already decided. He even opened his mouth and asked Fang Chen to let him go. Today's matter is a misunderstanding. Let's end it here. Blood Mountain, right? I owe you a favor. If you need anything in the dark net in the future, feel free to look for me. However, Fang Chen did not give him any chance at all as he killed the black-robed man with a punch. You'll regret this. The black-robed man roared furiously, his face ferocious. However, the last trace of his will collapsed and completely disappeared in the dark net. At the same time, in a secret palace in the 3,000 realms of the Great Dao, a black-robed man suddenly woke up from his meditation. His face was ferocious and his eyes were scarlet as he roared furiously. Damn it, I won't let you go. However, after he said this, his throat moved and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His face became extremely pale. The result of 100 years of hard work is completely gone. I must avenge this. Although the dark net was a virtual space where only one's will could enter, and even if one's will was destroyed in the dark net, it would not cause any danger to the real body in the real world. However, if one's will was destroyed, it would have a certain impact on the cultivation of the real body. The black-robed man was an obvious example. His will in the dark net was destroyed by Fang Chen and affected his real body in the real world, causing his 100 years of hard work to go to waste. However, no matter how furious he still could not find any clues about Blood Mountain in the real world. This was the advantage of the dark net. As long as you did not want to expose your identity, ordinary people would not be able to find your location in the real world. Therefore, that was why Fang Chen had dared to disperse his will without any hesitation. In the new secret realm of the dark net, Wang Xian and the others were stunned, and it took them a long time to recover. They quickly came to Fang Chen and looked at him curiously. "What's wrong? Is there something on my face?" Fang Chen touched his nose and said a little awkwardly. It was a little scary to be stared at by 4 big men. "Brother Blood Mountain, you're really good at hiding your strength," Lu Qing said. "You didn't use your full strength when fighting with me previously. I, Lu Qing, am grateful for your mercy." The other person also cupped his fist and thanked him. If it were not for Fang Chen's mercy, the two of them would have ended up like the black-robed man. "We are members of the same team," Fang Chen said. "Brother Blood Mountain, are you really just an advanced Supreme Master?" Bai Long suspected that Fang Chen had a treasure that could shield him from detection and forced him to pretend to be an advanced Supreme Master. "Brother Blood Mountain, you can even resist the power of the pseudo-Tao realm." "I, Wang Xian, admire you," Wang Xian said. Wang Xian said. He admired Fang Chen from the bottom of his heart. The latter was actually able to absorb the power of the pseudo-Tao realm. Didn't this mean that even if he encountered an expert who had touched the threshold of the Tao realm, he would be able to fight and even suppress them? In this way, the overall strength of the assassin team would become stronger. "I'm just lucky," Fang Chen grinned and said modestly. If it weren't for heart force, he wouldn't have been able to withstand the power of the pseudo-Tao realm. "Brother Blood Mountain, you're too modest," Wang Xian said. At least, after this battle, Wang Xian had already regarded Blood Mountain as an expert at the level of an extreme Supreme Master. Blood Mountain was ranked in the top 50 or even the top 30 on the Supreme list. "I'm curious, Wang Xian, if you fight with Brother Blood Mountain, who will win?" Bai Long asked. Wang Xian smiled and didn't say anything. Blood Mountain could withstand the power of the pseudo-Tao realm. This alone was not something he could compare to. Brother Wang Xian is the strongest in the 3 dragon worlds. How can I compare to him? Fang Chen said. In fact, he also wanted to fight with Wang Xian, but now wasn't the time. Soon, his clone in the 9 heavens realm would fight. Chapter 4159. For Fang Chen, the current stage was very fulfilling, and he gained new things all the time. First of all, although his original body was trapped in the cave residence of the Tao Realm cultivator, he was able to stay in the peach blossom forest and study the mysteries. As time passed, his attainments in the mysteries became higher and higher, and his strength became stronger and stronger. Even the gatekeeper was amazed. Fang Chen was the most talented cultivator he had seen in so many years. He was really curious. What kind of achievements would he achieve in the future? Would he be able to surpass his master? Of course, this was a story for later. As for his fire clone, it was still in the 9 heavens realm. In order to obtain the things left behind by the black-robed ancestor, it had accepted the white-robed ancestor's test and participated in the supreme battle of the 9 heavens realm. At present, Fang Chen had an overwhelming advantage. He had overcome all difficulties and finally reached the final stage. At the same time, Wang Xian, the charming Lady Qin Qing, and the fast blade Mu Chunglin had also reached the final stage. In the process of the battle, they had displayed extraordinary talent and attracted the attention of many cultivators. It was even said that Wang Xian's talent had attracted the attention of the Yunshao Palace Lord. He announced to the public that he would personally watch the final battle. Meanwhile, the consciousness in the dark net followed the other members of the assassin team into the new illusory secret realm, constantly exploring and looking for opportunities. Ever since Fang Chen had displayed great strength, Wang Xian had been amazed. He even thought that Fang Chen's strength was not weaker than his. He had wanted to spar with Fang Chen several times, but he had been rejected by the latter. They were in the same team and there was no need to hurt each other. Moreover, Fang Chen did not want to expose his strength of the heart. After all, in the 3,000 realms of the Great Path, there were very few cultivators of the mind bloodline, and the threshold was very high. He was also lucky to have met the ninth brother, which allowed him to awaken his strength of the heart and embark on the path of cultivation of the mind bloodline. Now, his strength of the heart had reached a bottleneck and could not break through. This made Fang Chen very distressed. But the battle with the black-robed man made Fang Chen understand that his strength of the heart seemed to be able to absorb the power of the pseudo-Tao realm, and it had improved a lot. He seemed to feel that the bottleneck had loosened a little. If he could absorb a little more power of the pseudo-Tao realm, his strength of the heart would really reach the third level. Thinking of this, Fang Chen was secretly delighted. He even wondered if his strength of the heart could absorb the power of the Tao realm. However, he quickly tossed this thought to the back of his head. After all, the true power of the Tao state was a powerful force that only Tao realm experts could possess. Although there was only a difference of one level between the Tao realm and the sovereign realm, the difference between the two was huge. The power of the Tao realm was too powerful. It was simply not something that ordinary people could withstand. Fang Chen naturally wouldn't try it blindly. Moreover, the strongest person in this new secret realm was only at the supreme stage. It was almost impossible for him to encounter the true power of the Tao realm. Brother Xiefeng is too low-key. Bai Long pursed his lips. With Xiefeng's current strength, he could definitely rank in the top 50 of the sovereign leaderboard, or even higher. But he had never competed for the leaderboard. If news of his battle with the black-robed man were to spread, Xiefeng's name would definitely cause a storm in the dark net. However, Bai Long and the others knew that Xiefeng was very low-key. They naturally would not spread the news. I feel that Brother Xiefeng's strength can at least rank in the top 30. This was Wang Xian's affirmation. He was in the top 100 of the sovereign leaderboard, but there was still a big gap between him and the top 50. For example, the black-robed man had only touched the threshold of the Tao realm and comprehended a trace of the power of the pseudo-Tao realm. But Wang Xian was helpless, and his life was even in danger. On the other hand, Fang Chen could not only withstand the power of the pseudo-Tao realm, but also kill the black-robed man. Wang Xian was ashamed of his abilities. Unknowingly, the core of the assassin team had shifted from Wang Xian to Xiefeng. The other two also acknowledged Xiefeng. "Let's not talk about this anymore. What should we do next?" asked Fang Chen. "Our team's strength has skyrocketed because of you, Brother Xiefeng. In that case, let's take a gamble." Wang Xian pondered for a moment, and then his eyes lit up. He wanted to lead the assassin team back to the special area and continue to plunder the blood demon pearls. Okay. Soon, they reached a consensus and turned around to leave. At the same time, in the continent of the Nine Heavens, in the Yunshao Palace, the Supreme Cultivator battle had reached its climax. Most of the contestants had been eliminated. Those who were still alive were peerless geniuses of the Supreme Layer. Wang Xian was the one who had the highest chance of winning. After all, he was the strongest supreme realm of the 3 dragon fields. No one had ever forced him to use his full strength. Now there were only 12 people left. Wang Xian defeated his opponents easily every time he fought. Bai Long was unexpectedly eliminated in the top 12. His opponent even provoked him, thinking that the people of the 3 dragon fields were just SOSO. This completely enraged Bai Long. He wanted to argue with him, but Wang Xian stopped him. "Pan Mo, right?" Wang Xian asked with a smile, looking at the man who had defeated Bai Long and provoked him. "Wang Xian, I know you. You're the strongest person in the 3 dragons realm. I hope that you won't encounter me in the battle of the top 12. Otherwise, I'll let you know how powerful I am." After saying that, Pan Emo turned around and left. This scene attracted everyone's attention. They were also curious. Could Pan Emo force Wang Xian to use his full strength? That Pan Emo is a dark horse. He's very strong. Yeah, I didn't expect the Nine Heavens realm to have such a supreme realm expert. I think Pan Emo can defeat Wang Xian. All kinds of discussions reverberated in the square. Wang Xian did not respond. Everything would be decided in the arena. On the other side, Fang Chen's advancement into the top 12 had also exceeded everyone's expectations. However, there was only one person who believed that Fang Chen had been hiding his strength from the start and that he was not as simple as he appeared to be. That was the goddess of the supreme battle, Qin Qing, the charming lady. "You really hid your strength." In the distance, Qin Qing, who was wearing a red dress, was sitting on a stone bench. Her beautiful eyes twinkled, revealing a meaningful smile. Just as the crowd was discussing, the strong cultivator of the Yunshao Palace announced the results of the draw for the top 12. When the participants were announced, the crowd was disappointed that Pan Emo was not matched with Wang Xian. "Looks like we have to wait for the next round to see Pan Emo and Wang Xian's battle." Of course, some people were guessing who would be eliminated. The one who was most likely to be eliminated was Fang Chen. That guy called Fang Chen is the weakest among the top 12. He'll definitely be eliminated. That's right. The Cloud Mountain sect is really lucky to have cultivated such an outstanding disciple. The Cloud Mountain sect can brag for the rest of their lives if their disciple enters the top 12. Chapter 4160. Out of everyone's expectation, Fang Chen's opponent was Pan Emo. Everyone shook their heads, thinking that Fang Chen would definitely lose. What a joke, even the popular Bai Long was defeated by Pan Emo. He even boasted that he would defeat Wang Xian. How could a mere Fang Chen resist him? This guy is really unlucky. I said before that he entered the top 12 by luck. Now the truth has been revealed. He's done for since he met Pan Emo. There was a lot of discussion in the square. There were a total of 6 battles, and 5 of them were quickly decided. The final victors were Wang Xian, Qin Qing, Swift Saber Mu Chunglin, and 2 other geniuses, making a total of 5. The last place in the top 6 would definitely belong to Pan Emo. Brother, beat that ugly guy. Bai Long was unwilling to be eliminated by Pan Emo, so he cheered for Fang Chen. On the stage, Fang Chen stood with his hands behind his back, looking calm and composed. Pan Emo, who was opposite him, had an arrogant look on his face. He raised his thumb and then pointed it down. His attitude was extremely bad. Admit defeat. In front of everyone, Pan Emo directly asked Fang Chen to admit defeat, otherwise I'll kill you. At this moment, Pan Emo bared his ugly fangs, threatening Fang Chen. Fang Chen shook his head. There's only one place left in the top 6, but I also want to enter the top 6. What should I do? As soon as he said that, the square burst into laughter. What a joke! This guy actually wants to enter the top 6 after meeting Pan Emo. Is he stupid? In response, Pan Mo's lips curled up, revealing a cold and mocking smile. With just you? Yes, with just me. Since the start of the sovereign battle, he had been concealing his strength. Now it was time for him to reveal his true strength. Furthermore, not long ago, his true body had comprehended another type of profound mystery of fire, allowing his attainments in the Tao of fire to grow stronger and stronger. Furthermore, it had also increased the strength of his fire clone by quite a bit. This was absolutely great news for Fang Chen. Therefore, he was full of confidence in himself. Moreover, he had watched Pan Mo's previous battle. Although Pan Mo's combat strength was indeed very strong, he would definitely be the final victor. This is the most arrogant person I have ever seen. You will pay the price for your arrogance. And that price was death. In the next moment, Pan Mo instantly burst out and directly displayed his strongest form. His whole body was like a sharp blade, carrying infinite power as he rushed towards Fang Chen. However, the latter easily neutralized his strongest attack. This was the first time that the onlookers realized that Fang Chen was not as simple as he seemed. Is it a coincidence? Was it a coincidence that Fang Chen had dodged Pan Mo's attack? Or did he have the ability to dodge it? However, before the onlookers could argue, the next scene made everyone dumbfounded. Pan Mo launched another attack. This time, Fang Chen did not dodge. Instead, he used his strong physique to resist Pan Mo's attack. At the moment when he resisted Pan Mo's attack, he launched a counterattack. A long sword appeared out of nowhere and pierced Pan Mo's chest without any obstruction. Poochie! Pan Mo's chest exploded. His whole body was covered in blood. He looked very miserable as he weakly fell to the ground, blood flowing out. Pan Mo's heart was in turmoil. Could it be that this person had been hiding his strength all along? In the square, everyone was stunned. They were tongue-tied and dumbfounded. Was this still the Cloud Mountain sect's disciple that they said relied on luck to enter the top 12? This was simply a humanoid fighter. In all of Pan Mo's previous battles, he had obtained overwhelming victories. However, in the face of Fang Chen, he could not even fight back and directly lost his combat strength. Boom! In the end, Pan Mo was still unwilling to give up. He did not want to lose, so he took advantage of Fang Chen's distraction to ignite his blood essence and launch a fatal attack. However, the latter was already prepared. The long sword in his hand rotated, and with a trace of heart force, he directly killed Pan Mo Poochie. Pan Mo's body fell to the ground. His primordial spirit was completely shattered. There was no chance of survival. This scene made the entire Cloud Palace fall into silence. Even the sect leader on the high platform was stunned. It turned out that Fang Chen was the strongest dark horse in this genius battle. Ha ha ha, too strong. Bai Longjian laughed. He did not expect this guy to be so strong. He really killed that bastard Pan Mo. Wang Xian was also quite shocked. He wondered if he could win if he fought against Yi Futian. For a moment, Wang Xian was restless. He wanted to spar with Fang Chen. However, he did not know that Xue Feng in the assassination team was Fang Chen's consciousness. Of course, he would know soon. After a short silence, the crowd came back to their senses and praised Fang Chen. The elder in charge of the competition also announced that Fang Chen had entered the top 6. At this point, the top 6 of the Supreme Battle were all born. Congratulations! The Lady of Charm, Qin Qing, walked lightly to Fang Chen under everyone's gaze. She opened her red lips and said with a smile. As a Lady of Charm, her every move was seductive. However, Fang Chen was not moved. He just politely thanked her. I knew it. You were hiding your strength. Qin Qing's impressive figure was displayed in front of everyone. Everyone was drooling. Only Fang Chen was like a wooden man. After saying that, Qin Qing left. Bai Longjian ran over and gave Fang Chen a thumbs up. Brother, you are too strong. Not only did you kill Pan Mo, but you are also not moved by Qin Qing. I am really curious where you came from. Fast Blade Mu Chunglin also looked at Fang Chen for the first time and re-evaluated him. The other 5 contestants in the top 6 all regarded Fang Chen as a strong opponent. Damn it. The leader of Pan Mo's sect was furious. However, due to the rules of the Supreme Battle, he could not take revenge on Fang Chen. However, he remembered the Cloud Mountain sect. Humph, just you wait. This is not over. After the top 6 were born, everyone would rest for a day before the final battle. All the forces were looking for information about Fang Chen. At this moment, Fang Chen was brought back by the Cloud Mountain sect master and locked himself in. The white-robed ancestor, who was secretly watching the competition, stroked his beard. He was very satisfied with Fang Chen's performance. As expected of the black-robed man, the white-robed ancestor sighed. In terms of eyesight, he had never won against his good brother, the black-robed ancestor. Although the black-robed ancestor had fallen, he still sent such an outstanding genius to him. It was simply too exciting. With such potential, it is only a matter of time before he enters the Tao realm. The white-robed ancestor muttered to himself. Only when one entered the Tao realm would he be qualified to come into contact with the upper world of the 3,000 worlds of the Great Tao. He would also be qualified to pursue the illusory peak of martial art. Chapter 4161. Pan Mo's death could only be said to be his own fault. Sometimes being high-profile wasn't a good thing. Many experts were actually very low-key. Everyone knew that the tallest tree in the forest would be destroyed by the wind. However, Pan Mo thought that he was superior and didn't put Fong Chen in his eyes at all. After defeating Bai Long, he had fallen into a state of arrogance and thought that he could challenge Wang Xian. However, who would have thought that he would die in the hands of the opponent he looked down on before he could even fight Wang Xian? It could be said that Pan Mo had tragically become Fong Chen's stepping stone. After this battle, everyone regarded Fong Chen as a strong opponent and thought that he was qualified to compete with Wang Xian. The charming lady Qin Qing's eyes flickered as if she was thinking about how strong Fong Chen was. He didn't seem to have revealed his full strength after killing Pan Mo. She was getting more and more curious about Fong Chen's identity. She was even looking forward to it. Would he be able to enter the final battle? Of course, apart from her, there was another person who was paying attention to Fong Chen as well. That person was none other than Mu Chenglin, who initially thought he was the most popular candidate to win the competition. However, before the start of the competition, Wang Xian had appeared out of nowhere, and now, he had another enemy. Humph, no matter how strong you are, the final first place will be mine. Fast blade Mu Chenglin clenched his fists as his battle intent soared. He was extremely confident. After the top 6 were determined, there was no need to draw lots anymore. Instead, they would fight in a cycle. After all, it was related to whether one could enter the top 5. Hence, this method was the best. In other words, each person would have to fight against the other 5 to determine the final ranking. If they won all 5 battles, they would definitely be the undisputed first place. The first to go up was Wang Xian. He stood with his hands behind his back with a confident smile on his face. Standing in the arena, he gave people a terrifying feeling as if a mountain was pressing on their chests, making it difficult for them to breathe. The first to go up was a burly man. He was a genius disciple of a top force. After so many years of seclusion, he was waiting for this opportunity to soar into the sky. Wang Xian, I challenge you. Everyone thought that Wang Xian was the strongest, so he directly challenged Wang Xian. Boom! A sea of blood suddenly appeared around this person. Then, his body merged with the sea of blood as if he was immortal and indestructible. Everyone cried out in alarm. This was an extremely powerful domain power. As long as the sea of blood was not destroyed, he would be in an undefeatable position. I wonder how Wang Xian will react. Many people were guessing if Wang Xian could break through the sea of blood. Blood sea. Wang Xian's lips curled up, revealing a strange smile. Since this was his first battle, he would show the world his true strength. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Xian spread out his hands and an extremely terrifying power burst out. In the next instant, he charged straight into the blood sea with an incomparably powerful force. Rip! Even though the corrosive power in the blood sea was very strong, it was unable to harm Wang Xian in the slightest. The burly man's expression changed when he saw this. He wanted to gather all the power of the blood sea to give Wang Xian a fatal blow. However, Wang Xian did not give him the chance. A dagger suddenly appeared in his hand. Then, with a speed invisible to the naked eye, he tore apart the sea of blood. Boom! The sea of blood was torn apart and the force repelled it, forming an explosive shock wave. The burly man did not even have time to react before he was sent flying. How could this be? He fell to the ground in a daze. This was the Blood Sea domain that he was proud of, but it was easily broken by Wang Xian. Everyone was in an uproar. Being able to be in the top 6 was enough to show how strong the burly man was. However, he was unable to fight back in the face of Wang Xian. The strongest honorable in the three-dragon world had become so powerful? This kind of strength was simply despairing. I lost. In the end, the burly man lowered his head and admitted defeat. Wang Xian's first battle had shown the world an extremely powerful force, causing the subsequent challengers to be somewhat fearful. As expected, Wang Xian won the second battle with an overwhelming victory. In the third battle, Wang Xian fought against Fast Blade Mu Qinglin. The two of them were evenly matched, but in the end, Wang Xian defeated Fast Blade Mu Qinglin. In the fourth round, Wang Xian fought against the Lady of Charm, Qin Qing. Qin Qing immediately used her charm technique, but it was ineffective against Wang Xian. Wang Xian was immune to it. Seeing this, Qin Qing smiled bitterly and admitted defeat. In this way, Wang Xian had won all 4 battles. Everyone thought that it was only a matter of time before Wang Xian became the champion. As for the 5th battle, no one was optimistic about Fang Chen at all. They even guessed that Fang Chen would admit defeat in advance. However, the next scene was beyond everyone's expectations. Not only did Fang Chen not admit defeat, but he even prepared to fight with Wang Xian. Boom! The battle between the two was earth-shattering. From the beginning, they were evenly matched. However, as the battle went on, Wang Xian gradually felt that he was being suppressed. He was filled with shock as he stared at Fang Chen with his eyes wide open. Who is this guy? How can he suppress me? Wang Xian did not believe it and continued to use his strongest power. However, it was useless. In the end, Wang Xian took a few steps back in the final collision, while Fang Chen remained motionless. After stabilizing his body, Wang Xian's expression kept changing. He could not accept his defeat. However, at this moment, a familiar voice entered Wang Xian's ears. Brother Wang Xian, as I said, we will fight. Fang Chen transmitted his voice to Wang Xian, revealing his identity. At this moment, Wang Xian suddenly realized that this person was Xuefeng, a member of the assassin team in the dark net. Suddenly, Wang Xian was relieved. It was not a shame that he lost to Xuefeng. After all, Xuefeng had a super strong ability to resist and absorb the power of the pseudo-Dao realm. This was something that Wang Xian could not do at all. I've lost. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Wang Xian did not choose to continue the battle. Instead, he clasped his fist and said to Fang Chen. As soon as he said that, the entire square was in an uproar. Everyone was puzzled. He could have continued the battle. Why did Wang Xian suddenly admit defeat? Even his good brother Bai Long was puzzled. He rushed to Wang Xian's side and asked. Wang Xian did not explain much and only transmitted his voice to him. Xuefeng. At the same time, in the new secret realm of the dark net, the members of the assassin team were collecting the blood demon pearls. Suddenly, Wang Xian and Bai Long stopped and stared at Fang Chen. Brother Xuefeng, you already knew, didn't you? Fang Chen shrugged. Bai Long complained, damn you, Xuefeng. Wang Xian participated in the supreme battle this time to be the champion. I didn't expect to be intercepted by you halfway. However, I have to say that you are really tolerant. You actually pretended not to know us when you saw us. Chapter 4162. At that moment, Wang Xian finally understood why Xuefeng didn't want to spar with him in the new secret territory of the dark net. Xuefeng even told him that there would be opportunities to spar in the future. He didn't expect that Xuefeng had been with him all this time in the real world. If Xuefeng hadn't taken the initiative to reveal his identity, he would still be in the dark. If Wang Xian had been defeated by someone else, he would have definitely been unwilling to accept it and would have challenged him again. However, when he knew that his opponent was Xuefeng, he decisively admitted defeat. What a joke! He knew Xuefeng's strength very well. If Xuefeng had used his full strength, he wouldn't have been able to defeat him. In the end, Wang Xian's 5 battles ended with a proud record of 4 wins and 1 loss. However, regardless of how beautiful his battle accomplishments were, the crowd's gazes were not focused on Wang Xian. Instead, they were staring at Fang Chen with stupefied expressions. This disciple from the Cloud Mountain sect had been hiding his strength all this time. At that moment, he had defeated Wang Xian, who was the favorite to win the championship. Everyone was dumbfounded, including sect leader Wang of the Cloud Mountain sect. His heart was in turmoil. He would never have dreamed that the disciple sent by the white-robed old ancestor would be so powerful. On the other hand, Quick-Blade Mu Chunglin and the others had gloomy expressions on their faces. They were pondering in their minds. If they were to fight against Fang Chen, what were their chances of winning? What should they do? Qin Qing's beautiful eyes flickered with a strange light. Her guess was correct. Fang Chen was able to resist her charm and wasn't affected at all. If it was someone else, they wouldn't be able to do so. Even Mu Chunglin, the swift blade, wouldn't be able to do so. It turned out that her intuition was right. Fang Chen had been hiding his strength. At that moment, after Fang Chen's strength had been fully released, those who had thought that he was the weakest of the top 6 felt their faces burning, as if they had been slapped a few times. After a short moment of silence, the crowd began to discuss Fang Chen crazily. They couldn't wait to find out more about his background. The leaders of the Cloud Palace were also very shocked. They had never thought that there would be such a monstrous supreme cultivator in the 9 Heavens realm who had defeated Wang Xian. Many experts were very interested in Fang Chen. In the following matches, the atmosphere was unusually heavy. Apart from Fang Chen, the other 4 had all been defeated by Wang Xian. And Fang Chen had defeated Wang Xian. This was enough to prove that Fang Chen's strength was above theirs. However, Fast Blade Mu Chunglin was not convinced. He believed that Fang Chen had defeated Wang Xian using some special means. As long as his blade was fast enough, he would definitely be able to defeat Wang Xian. Therefore, for the rest of the round-robin matches, no one else had the intention to make a move, but Quick Blade Mu Chunglin stood out. "I want to challenge you." He didn't believe in the supernatural. He had an unrivaled belief in himself, believing that he was the most powerful supreme being. Even though he lost to Wang Xian, he didn't lose heart. Boom! Quick Saber Mu Chunglin immediately made his move as soon as he arrived. He reached out his hand and pulled out the rusty saber on his back. Will Fast Blade Mu Chunglin win? Everyone had the same question in their minds. Fast Blade Mu Chunglin was proud of his fast blade. He was unrivaled in the world with his fast blade. Over the years, no one had forced him to pull out the rusty saber. Now that the saber was out of its sheath, it released an extremely terrifying sharpness even though it was rusty. "Kill!" Quick Blade Mu Chunglin shouted in a low voice. His entire body merged with heaven and earth. The rusty saber in his hand was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, the void was filled with saber shadows. What a terrifying saber! Everyone cried out in surprise. Mu Chunglin's blade technique was too strong. Was such a fast blade technique really executed by a supreme being? Some people even suspected that Mu Chunglin's saber technique was close to the Tao realm. However, these were just the crowd's astonishment and speculation. In the face of the overwhelming saber shadows, Fang Chen's counterattack was relatively simple. A long sword appeared in his hand. He flicked his wrist and the long sword danced in the void. Rays of dazzling sword light swept across the entire arena. This was a duel between the saber and the sword. Buzz! All the ultimate force in his body was injected into the long sword. Crack! The saber light and the sword shadow clashed with each other, producing a deafening sound. Fang Chen realized that if he didn't use his heart force, it would be difficult to completely block Mu Chunglin's fast saber. Therefore, when the sword's shadow showed signs of collapsing, Fang Chen didn't hesitate to use his heart force. The second level of heart force quietly penetrated the long sword. In the next moment, the power of his sword technique suddenly increased. In an extremely terrifying way, it completely devoured the saber light in the sky. Rumble. Although the saber light was struggling, the devouring power was too strong. I'd like to see if your devouring speed is faster than my saber. Mu Chunlin snorted coldly. His wrist continued to move and the rusty saber slashed at the void at a speed invisible to the naked eye. Every time he slashed, the void would be filled with saber light. However, gradually, the speed of his saber couldn't keep up with Fang Chen's devouring speed. Hiss! In just 3 breaths' time, the saber light in the sky was almost completely devoured by Fang Chen. At this moment, Mu Chunlin's entire body was drenched in sweat. His strength was completely drained. His body staggered and fell directly onto the arena. Crack! After the last saber light in the sky was devoured, the rusty saber in Mu Chunlin's hand broke into 2 pieces with a crack. This scene shocked everyone. The rusty saber that fast saber Mu Chunlin was so proud of was actually broken. What did this mean? It meant that Mu Chunlin was defeated in an extremely humiliating way in the battle with Fang Chen. Moreover, he didn't have the power to fight back and even his battle partner was killed. It could be said that fast saber Mu Chunlin was completely defeated by Fang Chen in this battle. There was no dispute about it. There was dead silence in the square. Everyone stared at Fang Chen with their eyes wide open. Even the higher-ups of Yunshao Palace on the high platform were stunned. It was so quiet that they could hear people's breathing. And all of this was caused by Fang Chen. In the clouds, the white-robed ancestor, who had been watching the battle from afar, could not help but tremble. Soon after, tears welled up in his eyes. Black Robe, you did it. You really did it. Did you see it? Below the arena, Fang Chen put away his long sword and glanced at Mu Chunlin. Without saying anything, he walked down the arena. Qin Qing, the Lady of Charm, was so shocked that her jaw almost dropped. Although she knew from the beginning that Fang Chen had hidden his strength, she didn't expect him to be so strong. Wang Xian and Mu Chunlin had been defeated consecutively. The other 2 didn't even have the courage to challenge Fang Chen. Qin Qing, the Lady of Charm, clearly expressed that she was no match for Fang Chen. Then, in this supreme battle held by the 9 Heavens realm, the final winner was known to everyone. Chapter 4163. Zhu Yan was a prodigy of the younger generation in the Great Tooth Palace. Ever since he cultivated the supreme fist technique, the Immortal Blood Shark Fist, he had been heavily groomed by the Great Tooth Palace and was recognized as the next successor of the Great Tooth Palace. Every Great Tooth Palace master was basically the leader of the Sea Demon clan. Therefore, Zhu Yan would definitely become the leader of the Sea Demon clan in the future. However, Ancestor Demon Whale's appearance made Zhu Yan the leader ahead of time. However, Megalodon was excited and cheered. He was willing to assist Zhu Yan. After all, Zhu Yan was also a descendant of his bloodline. What excited the Megalodon the most was that the ancient powerhouse of the Sea Demon clan, Ancestor Demonic Whale, was actually still alive. Furthermore, he had taken Zhu Yan as his disciple. This was what he valued the most. Although the sea monster race was currently under the rule of the Megatooth Shark, he was well aware that not only was Ancestor Demon Whale tyrannical in strength, but he also had great prestige. As long as he raised his arms and shouted, the sea monster race would definitely submit to him. But now, it seemed that Ancestor Demon Whale had no such intentions. He had accepted Giant Flame as his disciple because he wanted him to handle the trivial matters of the sea monster race. Mr. Liu, you are truly the savior of the Siren clan. The Megalodon was truly grateful to Liu Chen from the bottom of his heart. Old Ancestor Demonic Whale was also very grateful to his savior. However, he had just regained his freedom and needed to find a quiet place to quickly recover his strength. All right, the enemies of the Great Tooth Palace have been destroyed by me. You guys can go and take care of other matters. Find me a quiet place. Old Master Devil Whale said. Lu Chen suddenly had an idea. It just so happened that he was in trouble and needed Elder Magic Whale's help. Elder Magic Whale used to be Venerable Wind's mount. So, wasn't Sky Ridge the best place for Elder Magic Whale to cultivate? Patriarch Devil Whale, Lu Chen said. I have a place that is very suitable for you. Where is this place? Patriarch Demon Whale asked in surprise. The Megalodon Shark and Giant Flame were also curious. What other place would be more suitable for Patriarch Demonic Whale to recover than the deep sea? However, neither Lu Chen nor Ancestor Demon Whale spoke a word. They only exchanged a glance. Both Megatooth Shark and Giant Flame understood that the two of them were secretly communicating with each other. They did not want them to hear their conversation. All right, I'll go with you. Soon, Patriarch Demon Whale nodded his head. He then turned to the Megalodon and said, You are the strongest member of the Sea Demon tribe right now, but you have yet to undergo your tribulation. You are still too weak. Here are my cultivation manuals. Take a look at them and quickly undergo your tribulation. After he finished speaking, Old Ancestor Demon Whale tossed a scroll to Megalodon. The latter was pleasantly surprised. Old Ancestor, don't worry. I will definitely work hard. Patriarch Demon Whale then turned to his disciple and said, Brother Lu, there are a few top forces on the continent. Soon, a full-scale war will break out. You should reorganize the Sea Demon clan and be on standby. Don't worry, Master. The entire Sea Demon clan is on standby. After that, Lu Chen took Patriarch Demonic Whale back to the Celestial Fairy Island from the deep sea. Then, they took the teleportation formation back to the Void Gate. Along the way, Lu Chen explained the current situation on the Gale continent to Ancestor Devil Whale. The Palace of Darkness has betrayed their ancestral teachings, and now those rats from the sacred race dare to show their faces? Patriarch Demon Whale was furious when he heard that these two forces were not only participating in the genius battle, but also publicly declaring war against the Sky Dragon Palace. In his era, the Palace of Darkness had just been established, and the sacred race was extremely weak. They could be destroyed at any time. He didn't expect that after so many years, they would actually come out. You don't have to worry about these two clowns. But you have to be careful of the Yin-Yang sect and the Xian sect. They have a very deep foundation. It is said that in the history of the Yin-Yang sect, there was a super expert who cultivated the Yin-Yang Dao to the extreme. Maybe he left behind some terrifying means. Patriarch Demon Whale said. Lu Chen's heart skipped a beat. The extreme of the Yin-Yang Dao, wasn't that the divine spirit? However, in his memory, there was no memory of the divine spirit of the Yin-Yang Dao. You have to be even more careful of the Xian sect. They are spread all over the universe. Their headquarters, the Xian Palace, is the strongest force in the universe. It was founded by the Xian Emperor, the leader of the human race. It is very terrifying. When talking about the Xian sect, there was a hint of fear in Patriarch Demon Whale's voice. I know, Lu Chen said softly. No one knew the Xian Palace better than him, and no one knew the Xian Emperor better than him. However, until now, he still didn't know if his good brother, the Xian Emperor, was involved in his bizarre death. However, he believed that one day he would find out. Not long after, the two of them arrived at the Void Gate. The sky was already turning white, but with Patriarch Demon Whale covering their aura, no one noticed them. After coming out of the teleportation array, Lu Chen immediately called the Void Sword Saint. Soon, the Vice Sect Master came to the mountain where the entrance to the Heavenly Ridge was located. According to the orders of the Patriarch, the entrance to the Heavenly Ridge was opened. Crash! Patriarch Demon Whale jumped into the Heavenly Ridge, but Lu Chen didn't follow him. Mr. Lu, aren't you going in? The Vice Sect Master asked. I'm not going in. Then, Lu Chen returned to Tianlong Court. The vice sect master looked at Lu Chen's disappearing figure, and then looked at the Heavenly Ridge entrance that was about to close. Previously, the Heavenly Ridge shook violently and was forcibly cut off by 1 kilometer. If this happened in normal times, it would definitely be a big event that would shake the entire Gale continent. But now, with the Void Sword Saint's advance notice, although the vice sect master was shocked, he didn't show it. Moreover, he forcibly used the mountain protection array to cover up the shaking of the Heavenly Ridge and explained it to the higher-ups of the Void Gate. "What are you doing?" the vice sect master muttered to himself. Who was the person who just entered the Heavenly Ridge? Why couldn't he sense any aura from him, but why was he so oppressive that he couldn't breathe? The vice sect master couldn't understand the situation of the Gale continent. He felt that the sky had changed and a torrent was coming. Several times, he went to see the Void Sword Saint and asked for guidance from the Patriarch, but the latter didn't tell him. He just asked him to be in charge of the genius battle. Buzz. Not long after, the Heavenly Ridge shook slightly again. The vice sect master could clearly feel that there was a joyful aura coming from inside the Heavenly Ridge, as if an old friend had reunited after a long time. He was even more confused and perplexed. In the end, he shook his head and returned to the palace to prepare for the genius battle. In Tianlong Court, Lu Chen sat on a stone bench and closed his eyes slightly. It was as if he could imagine the scene when the Gale Sage's remnant consciousness saw Ancestor Demon Whale. There was nothing happier than reuniting with an old friend after a long time. However, Ancestor Demonic Whale would probably cry. After all, he had followed Wind Sage to conquer the world. Now that he had regained his freedom, his old master had only left behind a wisp of remnant consciousness that could dissipate at any time. Sigh. In the void, there seemed to be a sigh that had existed since time immemorial. Chapter 4164. The supreme battle of the Nine Heavens realm came to an end with Fang Chen's victory. This was something that no one had expected before the start of the competition. Wang Xian, the favorite to win the championship, had actually lost to Fang Chen. Even Mu Qinglin's rusty battle had been shattered by Fang Chen. Not to mention, the Lady of Charm, Qin Qing, had tried her best but failed to charm Fang Chen. This scene was extremely visually stunning. Until this moment, everyone's heart was somewhat absent-minded. In the Supreme Being battle where experts were as numerous as trees in the forest, no one had expected that in the end, it would be seized by a disciple from a remote small sect. This was simply unbelievable. Everyone was trying to find out more about Fang Chen, but it was only limited to the fact that he was a disciple of the Cloud Mountain sect. The charming Lady Qin Qing, the strongest Honorable Wang Xian of the 3 dragon realms, and his good brother the White Dragon all congratulated Fang Chen for taking first place. Although they had lost, they were not unhappy. After all, it was a reward for them to be able to fight with a top cultivator. Grandmaster Wang of the Cloud Mountain sect was completely dumbfounded. He would never have dreamt that Fang Chen would be able to take first place. This was just too ridiculous. This, sect leader Wang rubbed his eyes hard. He could not believe what he was seeing. His heart was beating wildly. The white-robed old ancestor had sent him such an excellent disciple. Fang Chen won the first place. Did that mean that the Cloud Mountain sect would get more resources from the Nine Heavens Palace? They might become a top force second only to the Nine Heavens Palace? Thinking of this, sect leader Wang's heart was burning. The others were also cheering. On the high platform, the high-level cultivators of the Cloud Mountain sect were also curious about Fang Chen. Some of them even said that they wanted to take Fang Chen as their disciple. They promised that they could help him reach the Tao realm within 100 years. Of course, some cultivators also said that they would fight for all the resources for him if he could cultivate under them. Finally, unexpectedly, the leader of the Cloud Mountain sect of the Nine Heavens realm also appeared. As soon as he appeared, he gave people a very oppressive feeling. That was the aura of the Tao realm. Everyone exclaimed. Even a Tao realm expert appeared. Wasn't that just too shocking? The cloudy Cloud Palace Master was wearing a black robe and emitted a cold and terrifying aura. Everyone thought that he was a Tao realm expert, but in reality, he was only half a step into the Tao realm. He was stronger than those who had comprehended the power of the fake Tao realm, but weaker than the real Tao realm expert. He could temporarily release some true Tao state power, but he couldn't maintain it for a long time. Therefore, it was known as the half-step Tao realm. He was the leader of the Cloud Palace, the strongest cultivator of the continent of the 9 clouds. Even though he wasn't the leader of the continent of the 9 clouds, he was recognized as such. Are you willing to become my disciple? Yun Shao Palace's leader looked down at Fong Qin and made a promise. I can promise you that within 10,000 years, you'll become the ruler of the continent of the 9 clouds. Everyone was in an uproar when they heard this. Ruler of the continent of the 9 heavens. Didn't that mean that Yun Shao Palace was raising Fong Qin as his successor? And he wanted him to become the ruler of the continent of the 9 heavens? Every ruler of the 3,000 worlds of the Great Path had their own unique power. As long as the world was not destroyed, they would never die. Being the ruler of the continent of the 9 clouds was a supreme status symbol. Yun Shao Palace was actually willing to give it to someone else. Are you willing? Everyone thought that Fong Qin would agree without hesitation when faced with Palace Master Yun Zhao's question. However, to everyone's surprise, he shook his head and refused. Sorry, I don't want to join any forces for the time being. As soon as he said this, the square was in an uproar. Everyone was dumbfounded. Was this true? He refused the invitation of a Tao realm expert and gave up the chance to become the ruler of the continent of the 9 clouds. Was this guy crazy? Qin Qing's beautiful eyes flickered, feeling bewildered in her heart. She increasingly felt that Fong Qin was extraordinary. Wang Xian even gave Fong Qin a thumbs up. To be able to resist such a great temptation, it truly wasn't easy. Humph! Yun Shao Palace, who was half a step away from the Tao realm, was rejected in public for the first time. His face was cold and he was very angry. The elders of Yun Shao Palace all scolded Fong Qin. Kid, don't think that you can look down on others just because you got first place in the supreme battle. Humph, in the eyes of the palace master, you're just an ant. How dare you reject the palace master's invitation? You're courting death. Many elders changed their attitude and scolded Fong Qin fiercely. If it weren't for the attention of the other forces, they would have already killed him. Fong Qin raised his head and looked at Yun Shao Palace in silence. You can leave. After a long while, Yun Shao Palace's body flashed and disappeared. A cold voice came from the void. Sect leader Wang heaved a sigh of relief. But he was also worried about Fong Qin. After offending Yun Shao Palace, it would be difficult for him to do anything in the 9 clouds realm. The others also shook their heads. Was such a good seedling going to die before he grew up? Qin Qing, the lady of charm, walked to Fong Qin and whispered, Mr. Fong, if you're in danger, you can come to the southern region to find me. Thank you. Fong Qin cupped his fists and thanked her. Wang Xian and Bai Long walked over and wanted to invite Fong Qin to the 3-dragon world, but they were rejected. All right then. If you're in danger, just come to the 3-dragon world. After that, the two left. Fong Qin's purpose of participating in the supreme battle was not only to train himself, but also to get the things left behind by the black-robed ancestor. Now, he had completed his training beyond expectations and got first place in the supreme battle. It was time to meet the black-robed ancestor. After the supreme battle ended, all the forces left one after another. There was supposed to be a reward ceremony, but because Fong Qin had offended Yun Shao Palace, his first place was taken away. He was not qualified to receive the reward, so he could only leave with the Cloud Mountain sect. Sect leader Wang, you go first. Their target is me. They won't do anything to you. Fong Qin transmitted his voice. Sect leader Wang glanced at Fong Qin and thought of the black-robed ancestor. Finally, He nodded and left. As expected, after the Cloud Mountain sect left, Yunshao Palace soon received news that Feng Chen had not left the mountain. Keep a close eye on him. If he dares to leave Yunshao Palace, kill him. This was an order from the higher-ups of Yunshao Palace. They also sent experts to monitor Feng Chen's every move. However, even so, on a dark and windy night, Feng Chen mysteriously disappeared. When this news reached the ears of the upper echelons of Cloudy Palace, all of them were furious. They immediately gave the order to find him even if they had to dig 3 feet into the ground. At this moment, Feng Chen had been taken away by the black-robed ancestor. Chapter 4165. However, no one would have thought that the leader of Yunshao Palace would disregard his dignity and ambush Feng Chen to kill him. In a dark void, the white-robed old man brought Feng Chen away from the Cloudy Palace's sphere of influence. He thought that the danger had been averted, but suddenly, under the silent night sky, a terrifying smell of blood filled the air. Immediately after, the white-robed old man cursed inwardly. In the next instant, his body shifted a meter in the air. Crack! The space where he had been standing was torn apart, and a spatial storm appeared. He sucked in a breath of cold air. Furthermore, he already knew who it was that had arrived. Humph! The leader of Yunshao Palace, the strongest cultivator of the 9 Heavens realm, dares to ambush me, said the white-robed old man gloomily. At the same time, he protected Feng Chen behind him. Cloudy Palace's usual strategy was to kill geniuses they could not obtain while they were still in the cradle. They absolutely could not allow them to grow. However, the white-robed patriarch never expected that Cloudy Palace Lord would personally step in. Ha! In the darkness, a tall and sturdy figure walked out. He was covered with horrible power and his eyes were scarlet. He looked like a Shura war god, giving people a very oppressive feeling. I didn't expect him to be one of your men, said the white-robed old man. Obviously, the leader of Yunshao Palace and the white-robed old man knew each other, but he didn't expect that the winner of the supreme battle would be one of the white-robed old man's men. Leader of Yunshao Palace, what do you mean? Asked the white-robed old man. Do you want to kill anyone who doesn't join the Yunshao Palace? Palace Master Yunshao shrugged. White-robed patriarch, you know my character. Under normal circumstances, I won't easily make a move. Although he took first place in the supreme battle and rejected my invitation in front of everyone, with his status, he doesn't have the qualifications for me to personally make a move. After a pause, the leader of Yunshao Palace continued. The reason why I came to kill him personally is because I sensed a trace of Yun Cheng's qi on him. Boom! A horrible qi filled the sky and was especially oppressive in the darkness. Yun Cheng was a core disciple of the Cloud Palace. He used to drive a 9-headed snake battleship to travel. Not long ago, his battleship was destroyed outside the continent of the 9 clouds. Yun Cheng was nowhere to be found. In the end, people learned that Yun Cheng was dead. Since then, Cloud Palace had been secretly investigating this matter, but they had not been able to find any clues. To his surprise, after the 9 Heavens Supremacy battle had ended, when Palace leader Yunshao personally invited Feng Chen to join the 9 Heavens Supremacy battle, he had sensed a vague aura from the man, which belonged to Yuncheng. Even though the other party had tried everything to erase that aura, as the master of Cloud Palace, no one could deceive his eyes. Therefore, he had left a trace of his aura on Feng Chen so that he could keep an eye on him at all times. Feng Chen, who was hiding behind the white-robed patriarch, was also taken aback. Had the matter of him killing a disciple of Cloudy Palace been exposed? He curled his lips and felt helpless. He had already used his heart force to erase the aura of a disciple of Cloudy Palace from his body. Unexpectedly, Cloud Palace Master still caught a trace of it. It seemed that he could not be careless when facing a strong cultivator in the future. Anyone who kills a disciple of Cloudy Palace will not leave alive, Cloud Palace Master said lightly. The white-robed ancestor waved his sleeve, and vast power revolved around him. He took a step forward and blocked the palace lord's attack. He said firmly, "As long as I'm here, you won't be able to kill him. Then try." As soon as he said that, Cloud Palace Master's figure flashed, and he began a fierce battle with the white-robed patriarch. Fang Chen was also afraid of being affected by a battle of this level. Moreover, the white-robed patriarch's voice sounded in his ear, telling him to leave quickly. Whoosh! Fang Chen also knew that he would only be a burden to the white-robed patriarch if he stayed, so he turned and fled without hesitation. "You can't leave." Cloud Palace Master's angry roar came from behind him. However, the good news was that the white-robed patriarch had successfully blocked Cloud Palace Master, so that he could not divert his attention to track Yi Futian. The bad news was that it would not be long before Yi Futian's information was made public. Then, the entire Nine Heavens realm and the affiliated forces of Cloud Palace would probably kill him. At that time, the situation would be extremely dangerous. However, there was no other way now. He could only take one step at a time. Nine Heavens Realm, Nine Heavens Peak. Although this towering peak was named after the Nine Heavens, it was covered with ice and snow all year round. Very few people would come here. It was even called a life-forbidden zone, because the cultivators who came here basically never returned. Over time, it became a forbidden place for many cultivators in the Nine Heavens realm. No one dared to come here. Even Cloud Palace Master had never come here. Of course, he did not come to Nine Heavens Peak because he was afraid that it was a life-forbidden zone. There was a more important reason. Everyone thought that it was a simple life-forbidden zone. In fact, as the Cloud Palace Master, he knew very well that there were two powerful cultivators cultivating on this peak. Although they were not from the Nine Heavens realm, they had lived here in seclusion for hundreds of millions of years. No one dared to disturb them. It was covered in ice and snow all year round because of their cultivation. Today, at the top of Nine Heavens Peak, two old men were drinking tea. Suddenly, one of the old men raised his head and glanced in the southeast direction. Then, he frowned slightly. The other old man asked, "Why do you still care about the supreme battle?" The first old man shook his head. "We two old men have been cultivating here in seclusion for so many years. Why would I care about ordinary things? Do you remember what I told you when I came back?" The other old man asked. "You said that on the way back, you met a young man and borrowed his battleship. Then, you miraculously broke through?" The first old man nodded. "That's right. Right now, Cloud Palace Master wants to kill that young man." Hearing that, the other old man was a little surprised. "But soon," he said, "owing someone a favor is karma. We must repay it. Otherwise, karma will affect our cultivation." After entering the Tao realm, cultivators cared more about karma. Before entering the Nine Heavens realm, the previous Tao realm cultivator had promised Fang Chen that he owed him a favor. Now, Fang Chen was being hunted. He could not sit still. "That white-robed old man can't stop Cloud Palace Master," the other old man said. "It won't be long before that young man is attacked from the back." One could imagine the consequences of offending Cloud Palace in the Nine Heavens realm. Of course, Fang Chen was an exception. After all, even a Tao realm cultivator owed him a favor. That day, on Nine Heavens Peak, the ice and snow suddenly stopped. Then, two rays of light shone on the ground. People called it a miracle. Chapter 4166. The Nine Heavens realm was much bigger than the empty spirit world, and its overall strength was more powerful. Even so, cultivators of the Tao realm were like gods here. After all, except for the core region of the 3,000 worlds of the Great Path, it was already very powerful to have cultivators of the Tao realm in the peripheral regions. The current lord of the Nine Heavens realm was the current Yunshao Palace leader. He was the strongest cultivator of the Nine Heavens realm, but he had not entered the Tao realm. He had only touched the threshold of the Tao realm, so he was half a step away from the Tao realm. and the 2 cultivators of the Tao realm on the 9 heavens peak, who were cultivating in seclusion, caused a stir in the 9 heavens realm. People called it a miracle. However, they did not know that the miracle was created for Fangchen. At this moment, far away from the Cloudy Palace, the Cloudy Palace Master was engaged in an intense battle with the white-robed ancestor. Both of them were equally matched, but the Cloudy Palace Master had the advantage of being young and having an endless supply of energy. The white-robed ancestor was different. He was already old and his energy was somewhat depleted. In a prolonged battle, he was definitely inferior to the Cloudy Palace Master. The Yunshao Palace leader also knew this, so he was not worried at all. He even sent a message to the Yunshao Palace, asking them to issue a reward. Soon, the Yunshao Palace leader knew the news, and the Yunshao Palace elder directly issued a reward to the entire 9 heavens realm. Anyone who could kill Fangchen could become the Yunshao Palace leader's disciple. When the news came out, the entire 9 heavens realm was completely shocked. Everyone was rushing to the place where Fangchen was. After all, he only had the small Yunshan sect behind him. Without a strong backer, others were not afraid at all. If one could become the Yunshao Palace leader's disciple, he would have the opportunity to inherit the position of Yunshao Palace leader in the future, and also have the opportunity to become the Lord of the 9 heavens realm. This temptation was too great, and no one could refuse. So, it could be seen that experts from all directions were surging toward the area. As time went by, the battle between the 2 top cultivators had entered a white-hot stage, but the white-robed ancestor was obviously at a disadvantage. White-robed ancestor, you will definitely lose. The palace lord sneered. He was trying to persuade the white-robed ancestor to admit defeat. After all, he would have to pay a high price to defeat the white-robed ancestor. It would be best if the white-robed ancestor lost without a fight. As long as I'm here, you can forget about touching him. The white-robed patriarch's attitude was unyielding. Even if he died, he would protect Fangchen. He also sent a voice transmission to Fangchen, telling him to flee. Ha ha ha, do you think he can escape? Palace leader Yun Shao didn't feel angry about Fangchen's departure at all. He laughed wildly and pointed to the sky in the distance. If I'm not wrong, everyone in the 9 heavens realm is hunting him down. In the realm of the 9 heavens, if you offended the leader of the Cloudy Clouds Palace, even the gods couldn't save you, unless a Tao realm expert appeared. Sure enough, Palace Master Yun Zhao's words completely infuriated the white-robed ancestor. The latter's attacks became even fiercer, but they were a little chaotic. Clearly, the white-robed ancestor's heart was in a mess. At that moment, Fangchen, who was running away quickly, encountered the first group of people. Over there. Suddenly, someone from the small group shouted loudly. Immediately, the 5 members of the small group all ran toward Fangchen's location. Furthermore, they surrounded him in an encirclement. I advise you to mind your own business, Fangchen said coldly. Humph, boy, you offended the Cloudy Clouds Palace and you still want to escape? That's right, the Cloudy Clouds Palace has already issued a bounty. As long as we can kill you, we can become the direct disciple of the leader of the Cloudy Clouds Palace. Hearing that, Fangchen's eyes flashed with cold murderous intent. It seemed that the Cloudy Clouds Palace was determined to kill him. If you want to kill me, you'll have to pay a heavy price. Facing these rotten fish and shrimps, Fangchen was naturally fearless. He was worried about the other top forces of the 9 heavens realm. Once everyone surrounded him, his situation would be very dangerous. Now, he didn't know how the white-robed ancestor was. He was very worried. Kill. The 5 members of the group didn't give Fangchen any chance and directly launched the fiercest attack. However, Fangchen burst out with the strongest power of the first place in the supreme battle. He held the long sword in his hand and constantly waved it in the void. Wherever the long sword passed, the sword light flashed and a corpse fell to the ground. Pucci! In just 5 moves, the 5 members of the group were all killed. The last person stared at him with his eyes wide open, unwilling to accept his death. Go. After killing the 5 members of the group, Fang Chen didn't stop and directly fled. Not long after he left, another group of people appeared. If Fang Chen was here, he would definitely recognize that it was the sect of Mu Chunglin. They were here to avenge Mu Chunglin. Senior Brother Dao, there are traces of fighting here, and 5 disciples of the small knife sect, one of them said. The man who was referred to as Senior Brother Dao walked up to the 5 corpses and inspected them. Following this, his lips curled upward as he wore a disdainful expression. Humph, these idiots of the tiny saber sect, do they really think they can defeat Fang Chen? No matter what, Fang Chen was the first place in the supreme battle. His strength was almost invincible in the supreme realm. Even the sect of Mu Chunglin didn't dare to be careless. They sent several peak supreme realm experts to encircle Fang Chen. However, the funny thing was that the 5 people of the small knife sect wanted to attack Fang Chen. They were simply courting death. What should we do? Another disciple asked. Senior Brother Dao pondered for a moment and said, Don't worry, he can't escape. Now that all the forces in the 9 heavens realm are looking for him, we just need to wait and reap the benefit. The group that collided with Fang Chen first would inevitably suffer great losses. They just needed to wait for Fang Chen and the other groups to suffer losses and then clean up the mess. Senior Brother Dao, won't the other groups beat us to it? Senior Brother Dao shook his head. I know Fang Chen's strength very well. It's extremely difficult to kill him. The 2 Dao realm experts on the 9 heavens peak stood with their hands behind their backs, looking into the distance. Although they were very far away, they could see the scene of Fang Chen escaping. It was as if they had seen everything. This little guy's survival skills are comparable to those of the Dao realm. The Dao realm elder in gray exclaimed. The Dao realm expert bathed in lightning nodded and said, I've been in contact with him. This little guy is a cultivator of the mind bloodline. His spiritual will is very strong. Even if all the supreme realm experts in the 9 heavens realm join forces, they can't do anything to him. The 2 didn't intend to rush to attack. Instead, they watched Fang Chen's means of avoiding the encirclement. As long as Palace Master Yun Shao didn't attack Fang Chen, they believed that the latter was absolutely safe. This was also a trial for him. Sharpening himself in life and death, blood and fire, the harvest was definitely huge. Chapter 4167. Cultivators of the mind lineage were more common before the primordial world shattered. However, ever since the primordial world shattered, the 3,000 realms of the great Tao evolved. The cultivation system collapsed and many ancient cultivation methods were completely lost. This also created a fault era in the river of time and space. This era was known as the Dark Era. After the Dark Era, cultivators gradually discovered some brand new cultivation systems and combined them with the ancient missing cultivation systems to perfect the current cultivation system. In short, the mind lineage was considered a cultivation system before the primordial world shattered. Therefore, it was very rare in the current 3,000 realms of the Great Tao. One of the 2 Tao realm elders on 9 Firmaments Peak was a mind lineage cultivator and had once ridden on Fang Chen's battleship. Therefore, they had crossed paths. He knew better than anyone how terrifying the tenacity of a spirit cultivator was. Fang Chen had been surrounded and intercepted by many experts. He had seen all of Fang Chen's actions, but he had not been in a hurry to rescue him. Instead, he had let Fang Chen undergo the harshest tempering. As long as Cloudy Sky Palace Master did not take action, no one could threaten Fang Chen's life. Old Lei, are you cherishing talent? On 9 Firmaments Peak, the purple-haired elder asked with a chuckle. The 2 Tao realm experts were living in seclusion here. The purple-haired elder knew his good friend better than anyone else. It was not as simple as a favor, but because they were both mind lineage cultivators and cherished talent. That was why he paid so much attention to him. The Tao realm expert called Old Lei was the one who had once bathed in lightning. He was also the Tao realm expert who owed Fang Chen a favor. Hearing the purple-haired old man's words, Old Lei smiled and didn't say anything. However, at this moment they realized that something had happened to Fang Chen. As time passed, many top experts surrounded Fang Chen. In the beginning, he could still escape easily. However, as time went on, his energy consumption increased. There were a few times when he even wanted to take out the sky-splitting axe, but in the end, he restrained himself. After all, if the heaven-splitting axe was exposed, it would bring about a fatal disaster. No one could guarantee that there was no Tao realm expert spying on him. Whoosh! Fang Chen had already pushed his heart force to its limit. He was like a running cheetah, moving at a speed invisible to the naked eye as he darted through the forest. From time to time, powerful attacks would come flying at him from behind. Fortunately, Fang Chen was prepared and was able to dodge them all. However, at a certain moment, Fang Chen was completely immersed in a battle with a certain utmost exalted. Suddenly, a terrifying power descended from the sky. When he raised his head, he was actually pressed down by a towering mountain that reached into the clouds. "Kill!" Someone shouted, and immediately, countless people surrounded the mountain. The strong cultivator who carried the mountain was the second elder of Cloud Palace. He had already touched the threshold of the Tao realm and could be ranked in the top 5 in Cloud Palace. This time, he had lifted the mountain in order to suppress Fang Chen. Not good. Fang Chen cursed inwardly. He didn't expect the strong cultivators of Cloud Palace to come so quickly. Right now, he couldn't care less. Without any hesitation, he activated all of his heart force. As his heart force circulated at high speed, Fang Chen gradually entered an ethereal state. It was just like when he had first comprehended heart force. Seeing this scene, Old Lei, who was far away on the 9th cloud peak, brightened his eyes. Is he about to break through to the 3rd level? Old Lei was both happy and shocked. Fang Chen's potential in the Tao of the heart was much stronger than he had imagined. If he could condense his heart force to the 3rd level at such a young age, he would definitely be able to step into the Tao realm in the future. Boom, boom, boom. Being pressed down by the mountain, Fang Chen's body couldn't move for a short period of time. However, the heart force in his body seemed to be burning as he burrowed into the mountain. Under the command of the second elder of Cloud Palace, many strong cultivators surrounded the mountain and used all their strength to attack it. Everyone attack the mountain directly. If he hides inside, he will definitely die. Following the order of the second elder of Cloud Palace, dazzling attacks continuously bombarded the mountain. In the blink of an eye, the towering mountain was razed to the ground. At this moment, Fang Chen's body was also revealed to everyone. However, what puzzled everyone was that even after experiencing such a powerful attack, Fang Chen's body was completely unharmed. Furthermore, it was as if there was an extremely powerful force that was protecting his body. Continue attacking. The second elder of Cloud Palace sneered, thinking that he was putting on an act to scare them. Boom, boom, boom. In the next instant, all the attacks once again landed on Fang Chen's body. Everyone thought that his body would directly explode. However, a miracle occurred. Buzz. Fang Chen's eyes suddenly opened. The heart force in his body rose steadily and directly burned. Boom, boom, boom. He could clearly feel that his willpower had undergone a great change. Moreover, the strength of his heart force had also increased to a level that shocked him. This is the 3rd level of heart force? After a brief moment of shock, it was ecstasy. Fang Chen directly jumped up. He had been bitterly cultivating and had been unable to break through. He did not expect that under such heavy pressure, he would succeed. Boom. However, before he could think, a violent attack rushed toward him. Seeing this, Fang Chen's face instantly darkened. He spread out his hands and formed a complicated seal. The third level of heart force completely erupted. This was the first time Fang Chen had fully activated his heart force. It was also the strongest power he could erupt with so far. Boom! When the heart force collided with the berserk energy, it instantly swallowed up the chaotic energy like a wave, drowning everyone. Ah! Some of the weaker people could not withstand the impact of the heart force. They let out miserable screams and instantly turned into white bones. Not good. The second elder of Cloud Palace also realized that something was wrong. He shouted and hastily retreated. However, it was already too late. He could ignore the others, but Fang Chen did not intend to let the second elder of Cloud Palace leave. He fully activated his heart force and fiercely fought with the second elder of Cloud Palace. The battlefield was bitter, with miserable screams occasionally echoing out. The third level of heart force was truly too powerful. Just a single attack was enough to kill the majority of people. A small number of people were also heavily injured and withdrew from the battlefield. This battle shocked everyone, but it also caused them to feel despair. No one had expected that Fang Chen could explode with such power at this critical moment. Everyone even suspected that he had been hiding his strength in the supreme battle. Thinking of this, everyone was filled with regret. On 9 Firmament Peak, the eyes of Old Lei and the purple-haired elder also lit up. Chapter 4168. When Fang Chen's heart force reached the third level, the eyes of the 2 Dao realm cultivators on Jiuxiao Peak also lit up. After all, in the current cultivation environment, there were very few cultivators of the mind bloodline, and it was even rarer to be able to cultivate heart force to the third level. However, Fang Chen had done it. As expected, only under pressure can he unleash his full potential, the purple-haired elder said with a smile as he stroked his beard. He liked Fang Chen more and more, and even wanted to cherish his talent. Unfortunately, Old Lei had beaten him to it. Moreover, Old Lei was also a cultivator of the mind bloodline, so he was in a favorable position. Yes, such a young talent can be considered outstanding in the 3,000 realms of the Great Path, Old Lei sighed. Even though there were countless top sects in the 3,000 realms of the Great Path, and countless monstrous geniuses cultivated by them, it was not easy for Fang Chen to reach this step with his own efforts. Boom! 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 At this moment, Fang Chen was killing in all directions. No one below the Supreme Realm was his match. He activated his heart force, and as long as someone got close to him, they would be killed mercilessly. Over time, the Supreme Realm cultivators who participated in the encirclement began to feel fear. How can this be? Has he broken through? Damn it, we've lost too many people. Everyone began to hesitate, and even began to feel fear. They could not help but retreat. As a result, they lost all will to fight, and the encirclement disappeared instantly. Even though they were still surrounding Fang Chen, no one dared to make the first move. For a moment it was a stalemate. Kill him! Yunshao Palace's second elder roared and said, whoever can kill him will not only become the Palace Lord's personal disciple, but will also receive all of Yunshao Palace's cultivation resources. However, at this moment no one was a fool. Although Yunshao Palace's offer was very tempting, how could they enjoy it if they lost their lives? A bunch of trash. Seeing this, Yunshao Palace's second elder could not help but curse and attack personally. Whoosh! The second elder of Yunshao Palace flicked his wrist, and an auspicious cloud appeared beneath his feet. He leaped up and arrived before Fang Chen, unleashing his strongest attack. Coupled with the auspicious cloud beneath his feet, he posed a great threat to Fang Chen. However, when Fang Chen activated the third level of heart force, the second elder of Cloudy Palace was actually unable to withstand it. Boom! After a deafening explosion, the cloud under the second elder's feet was torn apart, and his body was sent flying. Everyone was tongue-tied and their hearts were filled with terror. Moreover, they also knew one thing: Fang Chen's current combat strength was unrivaled unless a Dao realm expert personally came. He hid his strength during the Paragon battle, many people said. Poochie. Cloudy Palace's second elder's throat moved and he spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale and he was heavily injured. He was terrified and quickly sent a message to Cloudy Palace Master to inform him of the situation. Crack. However, before he could finish his sentence, Fang Chen stomped his foot on the ground. Then, he looked at everyone with a vicious gaze and said coldly, "Since Cloudy Palace wants to kill me, I will definitely kill you. I hope you don't get involved in this." After saying that, Fang Chen disappeared without a trace. At the same time, Cloudy Palace Master had completely suppressed the white-robed ancestor on the other side of the battlefield. "White-robed ancestor, you won't be able to hold on for long," Cloudy Palace Master sneered. However, at that moment, his communication token rang. When he heard the second elder's message, his face darkened. "Damn it!" Cloudy Palace Master stomped his feet and kicked the white-robed ancestor away. Then, he turned around and left without even looking back. "You want to leave?" The white-robed ancestor also realized that something must have happened on Fang Chen's side. That was why Cloudy Palace Master was in such a hurry to leave. He jumped up and blocked Cloudy Palace Master's path. "White-robed ancestor, you are courting death." Cloudy Palace Master was furious. "Fang Chen is my man. If you want to kill him, you have to do it over my dead body." The white-robed ancestor's attitude was firm. "Good, very good." Cloudy Palace Master looked up to the sky and roared. Then, he used his strongest attack. In the blink of an eye, he suppressed the white-robed ancestor and severely injured him. Poochie. The white-robed ancestor had already tried his best, but he still couldn't stop Cloudy Palace Master. Cloudy Palace Master didn't kill him and left. In fact, Cloudy Palace Master only severely injured the white-robed ancestor and didn't kill him. He had his own considerations. Firstly, the white-robed ancestor was a senior figure in the Nine Heavens realm. Once he killed him, it would cause a huge reaction. Secondly, it would be extremely difficult to kill them all, and he would have to pay a huge price. There was only one thought in Cloudy Palace Master's mind, and that was to kill Fang Chen. Whoosh, whoosh. Half an hour later, Cloudy Palace Master came to the place where the second elder was severely injured. Seeing the corpses all over the ground and the dying second elder, he was furious. "What happened?" An elder of Cloudy Palace said, "Palace Master, that guy was surrounded by us at first and was about to be killed. Suddenly, he had a breakthrough and his combat power skyrocketed. We were no match for him at all. The second elder was also severely injured by him in one move." Cloudy Palace Master frowned. A breakthrough at the critical moment? Before the breakthrough, it was already difficult to find an opponent in the Supreme Realm. This time, no one in the Supreme Realm could defeat him. Thinking of this, Cloudy Palace Master was even more eager to kill him. He carefully sensed the aura left behind in the void, and then decided to chase. "You can't escape." Cloudy Palace Master was determined to kill Fang Chen this time. He had mobilized all the cultivation resources in the Nine Heavens realm, in the new secret territory of the Dark Net. The members of the assassin team had obtained a lot of blood demon pearls. During this period, they had some conflicts with other teams, but in the end, they defeated them with their strength. In a safe place, the 5 of them were resting. Bai Long and Wang Xian looked at Fang Chen and asked, "Brother Xiefeng, do you need help?" Fang Chen naturally understood that the two were talking about the Nine Heavens realm. "It's okay. I can handle it." Wang Xian gave Fang Chen a thumbs up and said, "Brother Xiefeng, even Cloudy Palace Master can't do anything to you. But you have to be careful. After all, the Nine Heavens realm is Cloudy Palace's territory. If you can't handle it, you can go to the Three Dragon World. I can guarantee your safety." When the other two heard Wang Xian's words, they were full of praise for Fang Chen. Brother Xiefeng's combat power should be invincible under the Supreme Realm, right? Lu Qing grinned. Fang Chen shook his head. It could be said that in the 9 heavens realm, but in the 3,000 worlds of the Great Path, his strength was nothing. Even in the dark net, after his breakthrough, he could barely rank in the top 20. He didn't even dare to think about the top 10, let alone the 3,000 worlds of the Great Path. Chapter 4169. Danger was often accompanied by opportunity. For Fang Chen, this was the case. Cultivators of the mind lineage improved extremely slowly to begin with. Furthermore, they rarely had the aid of special treasures. They basically relied on their own efforts to cultivate. After Fang Chen's heart force reached the 2nd level, he had been stuck at a bottleneck for a very long time. But after this life and death experience, he successfully broke through to the 3rd level and his combat strength skyrocketed. In the new mystery land of the Dark Net, the 5 members of the assassin team were talking and laughing. Fang Chen also had a smile on his face. From this, it could be seen that the difficulties his fire clone had encountered in the 9 heavens realm had been easily solved. Unless the Yunshao Palace Lord came personally, no one could suppress him. "Brother Xiefeng, you're too strong." Wang Xian couldn't help but sigh. He hadn't known Xiefeng for long, but he could see that Xiefeng had been improving. As the strongest supreme master in the 3 dragon realms, he felt a little ashamed. However, just as the members of the assassin squad were chatting, they suddenly felt a terrifying aura rushing toward them. Immediately after, their hearts trembled violently. That was because they saw blood-red waves surging toward them from afar. "What's that?" Bai Long exclaimed. The other 2 teams also retreated. They felt the terrifying aura in the blood-red wave. It seemed that if it touched their bodies, they would be completely killed. Wang Xian glanced at Fang Chen and made the decision to retreat immediately. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 5 members of the assassin squad rapidly retreated. But midway, they saw that some of the weaker squads weren't able to retreat in time and were directly submerged by the crimson wave. They didn't even have time to scream before they were turned into withered bones. What a terrifying giant wolf! Fang Chen frowned. What was this blood-red wave? Why was it so terrifying? After being infected by it, Supreme Masters didn't even have time to call for help before they were turned into bones directly. The assassin team was retreating quickly. The situation was getting more and more dangerous. At the same time, in the 9 heavens realm, Fang Chen had successfully killed many of the besiegers. He even killed the 2nd elder of the Yunshao Palace. Run! The remaining weaker martial artists were so scared that their souls almost flew out of their bodies. They frantically fled. Palace leader Yun Shao was infuriated when he heard the news. He immediately executed his trump card to severely injure the white-robed progenitor before rushing to Fang Chen's location. The white-robed patriarch tried to send a voice transmission to Fang Chen, telling him to quickly escape, but his injuries were too severe. He fell to the ground and found it difficult to breathe. I'm sorry, brother." The white-robed ancestor covered his face and cried bitterly. He felt that he had let down his good brother, the black-robed ancestor. Boom! At this moment, Palace Master Yun Zhao's aura was too powerful. In the blink of an eye, he had sealed the entire void. Fang Chen felt his entire body was filled with pressure. He lifted his head and looked at Palace Master Yun Zhao. Palace Master Yun Zhao's face was ferocious as he said coldly, "I have underestimated your strength." Looking at the corpses strewn all over the place, the Cloud Palace Master felt that he had underestimated Fang Chen's strength. The latter had concealed his strength during the 9 heavens supreme battle. However, your legend ends here. As soon as he finished speaking, Palace Master Yun Shao roared and directly unleashed the terrifying strength of a half-step Dao Realm cultivator, bombarding Fang Chen wildly. In the beginning, Fang Chen could still use his heart power to resist. However, as time passed, his heart power was consumed too quickly, causing Fang Chen's combat strength to decrease sharply. Thus, he was suppressed by Palace Master Yun Shao. "Huh! Palace Master Yun Zhao's pupils constricted as he cried out, "A cultivator of the spirit lineage?" He recognized the heart power that Fang Chen used and exclaimed loudly. He did not expect to encounter a cultivator of the spirit lineage. His eyes lit up. He wanted to kill Fang Chen as quickly as possible. The latter felt immense pressure and he was in great pain. However, at the most dangerous moment, something bizarre happened. No matter how hard Cloudy Sky Palace Master tried, he was unable to land a punch on Fang Chen's head. Furthermore, his body was imprisoned in midair, unable to move. "What's going on?" Palace Lord Yun Shao cried out in shock. What was going on? Why was his body restricted for no reason? Could it be? He thought of a possibility. It was a Dao realm expert. Immediately, Palace Master Yun Shao looked around but did not find any traces of a Dao realm expert. He struggled with all his might and even burned his blood essence to break free, but it was to no avail. "No!" Palace Master Yun Shao roared at the sky, feeling indignant. Whoosh! While Fang Chen was stunned, Old Lightning and the purple-haired elder suddenly appeared. "Little brother, how have you been?" Old Lightning grinned. Seeing this, Fang Chen heaved a sigh of relief. He did not expect it to be the lightning-bathed Dao realm expert he encountered in the world gap. At the critical moment, he was the one who saved him. Fang Chen also realized that the purple-haired elder beside him was also a Dao realm expert. It seemed that these two Dao realm experts had been secretly observing him. "I owe you a favor. I'll help you settle it now," Old Lightning said as he pointed at the imprisoned Palace Master Yun Shao. Palace Master Yun Shao panicked. The sudden appearance of the two Dao realm experts terrified him. "Seniors, everything is a misunderstanding. I didn't know he was related to you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have dared to attack him." However, Old Lightning did not attack Palace Master Yun Shao. Instead, he handed him to Fang Chen. Fang Chen also knew that he had completely fallen out with Palace Master Yun Shao. Therefore, Palace Master Yun Shao could not be spared. He killed him with one strike. No. Palace Master Yun Shao struggled with all his might. Before he died, his heart was filled with indignation. However, under the suppression of the two Dao realm experts, he had no chance to fight back and died. After killing Palace Master Yun Shao, Fang Chen cupped his fists and thanked the two Dao realm experts. "If you want to thank someone, thank Old Lightning." The purple-haired elder smiled. Old Lightning smiled as he looked at Fang Chen. "Brother, you are also a cultivator of the spirit path. You should know how difficult it is for us to cultivate, right?" Fang Chen nodded. Old Lightning continued, "Your comprehension of the spirit path is a little messy. I think you need a teacher. Little fellow, I want to take you in as a disciple." The purple-haired elder said what Old Lightning was thinking right away. Fang Chen was stunned. He didn't expect a Dao realm expert to take him in as a disciple. However, his spiritual cultivation came from the Palace of Fortune before the destruction of the primordial world. Moreover, he had the guidance of his ninth brother, King Xiaoyao. No matter how strong Old Lightning was, he couldn't be stronger than the ninth brother, King Xiaoyao. So, Fang Chen rejected him. "Sorry, senior, I already have a sect," Fang Chen said apologetically. "What is your sect called?" Old Lightning asked unwillingly. He had heard of all the famous spirit path powers in the 3000 world, but Fang Chen said that it was not convenient for him to say. Chapter 4170. The strongest person in the Nine Heavens realm was the master of the Yunshao Palace. Such a half-step Dao realm expert had a bright future. It was only a matter of time before he stepped into the Dao realm. However, he died in the hands of Fang Chen. If he had known that Fang Chen had a Dao realm expert supporting him, he would not have dared to pick on Fang Chen even if he was given 10,000 gut. This was the so-called, "You won't die if you don't ask for it." The news of the death of the master of the Yunshao Palace quickly spread throughout the Nine Heavens realm. In an instant, the Nine Heavens realm was in chaos. All the forces that had been suppressed by the Yunshao Palace said that they wanted to attack the Yunshao Palace and take back the cultivation resources that originally belonged to them. At the same time, the Yunshao Palace was also in chaos. After the death of the master of the Yunshao Palace, the other elders were not convinced. Everyone thought that they had the best chance to become the new master of the Yunshao Palace, so they were secretly recruiting others. In short, the entire Nine Heavens realm was in chaos. No one cared about where Fang Chen had gone or whether he had been killed, because their attention was completely diverted. At this moment, however, Fang Chen was with two Dao realm experts. Although he already had a master and Old Lei felt a little regretful, they were acquaintances after all. Old Lei still explained his cultivation experience of the Tao of the Heart to Fang Chen for reference. "Seniors, are you going to leave?" After the explanation, Fang Chen asked in confusion. Old Lei nodded. "Originally, the two of us were hiding here to cultivate. But this time we have been exposed, so we have to change places." From his words, Fang Chen seemed to sense a little danger. "Thank you for your guidance." Fang Chen cupped his fists and thanked him. Old Lei waved his hand. "Little guy, I have high hopes for you. I hope you can go further in the Dao realm in the future and enter the Dao realm as soon as possible." The purple-haired elder stroked his beard and said, "I rarely see Old Lei caring about young people." The two Dao realm experts joked with each other. After saying goodbye to Fang Chen, they disappeared. Fang Chen bowed deeply to the void and then began to try to contact the white-robed ancestor. As expected, he got in touch very quickly. The white-robed ancestor was seriously injured by the master of the Yunshao Palace and was hiding in a hidden place to heal. After contacting Fang Chen, he was extremely surprised. At the same time, he also heard the news of the Yunshao Palace master's death. He was extremely shocked and confused. Yunshao Palace master of the Yunshao Palace was killed. A few days later, Fang Chen found the white-robed grandmaster. The latter's injuries were almost healed. After all, there were no life-threatening injuries, so his recovery was relatively fast. Patriarch. The white-robed ancestor waved his hand and smiled. "Don't worry, just a small injury. How did you escape from the Yunshao Palace?" Fang Chen briefly explained his plan. When the white-robed ancestor learned that the Dao realm expert who killed the master of the Yunshao Palace knew Fang Chen, he was completely stunned. After a long while, the white-robed ancestor came back to his senses. He gave Fang Chen a thumbs up and praised him generously. "You are indeed the descendant of the black-robed guy. You are really powerful." Even though the white-robed ancestor had cultivated for countless years, it was difficult for him to have a relationship with a Dao realm expert. However, Fang Chen had just arrived in the Nine Heavens realm and he had interacted with a Dao realm expert. The latter even fought for him. Their relationship was extraordinary. One must know. Although there were many Dao realm experts in the 3,000 realms of the Great Dao, they were usually elusive existences. They were all in seclusion and rarely cared about the matters of the mortal world, let alone fighting for a supreme realm warrior. "What about the two Dao realm experts?" the white-robed ancestor asked. "They have already left," Fang Chen said. "Their cultivation life was disrupted, so they chose to leave." However, even without the help of a Dao realm expert, the white-robed ancestor was not afraid of anyone in the Nine Heavens realm. Whoosh! The white-robed ancestor took a deep breath and suppressed the shock in his heart. He looked at Fang Chen seriously as if he was looking at a stranger. For the first time, he found that he could not see through the young man in front of him. Gradually, the white-robed ancestor's eyes blurred and he fell into memories. In his mind, the scene of him and the black-robed ancestor roaming the world together appeared. The scene kept changing and finally became extremely bloody. The black-robed ancestor vomited blood and his eyes were filled with despair. The white-robed ancestor was helpless and furious. At this moment, the memories in his mind disappeared instantly and the white-robed ancestor's thoughts returned to reality. Whoosh! He shook his head hard to keep himself calm. Then, he looked at Fang Chen again and a happy smile appeared on his face. Fang Chen's potential was much stronger than he had imagined. Moreover, he had won first place in the supreme battle not long ago. With such impressive potential, it was only a matter of time before he stepped into the Tao realm. He might even reach the heavenly Tao realm in the future. Of course, this was only the white-robed ancestor's hope. Whoosh! The white-robed ancestor took out a triangular jade pendant from his chest. From the outside it was dull and even rusty. It was unremarkable, but he held it in his hand and said to Fang Chen earnestly, "This is what the black-robed ancestor wanted me to keep." Fang Chen took the triangular jade pendant from the white-robed ancestor's hand. He sensed it carefully and found that he could not sense anything. This jade pendant was obtained by risking our lives in the past. The black-robed ancestor's death was also related to this jade pendant. The white-robed ancestor explained, "Although I have been studying it all these years, I have not been able to figure it out. However, according to the information we obtained and some clues, this jade pendant should be related to a Tao realm expert, or even a supreme sect." Fang Chen was a little curious. What kind of secret was hidden in this dim jade pendant? It actually caused the death of the black-robed ancestor and the white-robed ancestor to conceal his identity and hide in the realm of the 9 heavens for so long. Back then, when we obtained this jade pendant, we were hunted down by a few super forces. They seemed to have gone mad and spared no expense in trying to snatch back the jade pendant. I accidentally heard their conversation, but unfortunately, I couldn't hear it clearly. However, there were 2 words that were very clear. The white-robed ancestor shook his head. He still did not know what the 2 words meant. "However, I am very puzzled. What does the 2 words mean?" "What words?" Fang Chen asked. "Hongmeng." As soon as he said this, Fang Chen was stunned. His eyes widened as he stared at the dull jade pendant in his hand. His heart was in turmoil. Hongmeng? Could it be the Hongmeng world? This dull jade pendant, was it related to the Hongmeng world? Chapter 41-71. With the white robe ancestor's realm and strength, it was impossible for him to know the secret behind the destruction of the primordial world. Therefore, he was very confused about the 2 words he had heard intermittently. What did the primordial world mean? Could it be one of the legendary secret realms? However, over the years, no matter how he studied it, he could not understand this triangular jade pendant. In addition, he was afraid that the descendants of his enemy would seek revenge, so he hid in the 9 heavens realm and hid the triangular jade pendant. At the same time, he was waiting for the descendants of the black robe ancestor. This was because before his good brother, the black robe ancestor, had died, he had returned to his hometown with one last breath. Before he left, he had told him that one day, his successor would come here. Now, not only had his successor come, but he had also won first place in the supreme battle of the 9 heavens realm. Cloud Palace Master had also died because of him. If this news spread, the entire 9 heavens realm would be shocked. Fang Chen frowned. What kind of secret was this triangular jade pendant hiding? When he grasped the jade pendant, he vaguely felt his heart tremble slightly. However, it quickly calmed down. Whoosh! Fang Chen took a deep breath and put away the triangular jade pendant. He looked at the white robe ancestor and asked, "Ancestor, who was your enemy?" The black robe ancestor had once said that when Fang Chen's strength reached a certain level, he hoped that Fang Chen could avenge him. These were his last words. Now, Fang Chen believed that he had the strength to know the truth. As for whether he could avenge him, he would wait until he heard the whole story. The face of the white-robed old master changed as a look of agony appeared in his eyes. Evidently, the memories of the past were causing him unbearable pain. However, he still told Fang Chen that his enemy in the past was a powerful being of the Tao state. Furthermore, it wasn't just a single person, but an entire world was after them. The entire realm? Fang Chen was shocked. The entire realm had been chasing them, and there was more than one Tao realm master. He could imagine how powerful this realm was. The Cloud Flow realm is very strong. Before you enter the Tao realm, you must not reveal your identity. Once they know that you are related to the Black Robe ancestor, they will do everything they can to kill you. Fang Chen was now outstanding and had outstanding talent. In the future, he would definitely step into the Tao realm and even have a chance of coming into contact with the potential of the heavenly Tao realm. The white-robed patriarch naturally did not wish for him to take the risk, so he exhorted him. The Cloud Flow realm was much stronger than he had imagined. Everyone knew how many realms there were, because no one knew how many realms there were. However, in a remote world like the empty spirit world, where the martial arts civilization was backward, cultivators at the top of the supreme layer could do whatever they wanted. The Nine Heavens world was stronger than the empty spirit world, but those worlds weren't ranked in the 3,000 worlds of the Great Path. The Cloud Flow zone that the white-robed patriarch had mentioned was one of the top 100 zones in the 3,000 realms of the Great Tao. This was a terrifying number. Being in the top 100 meant that there were many Tao realm masters in this realm, and there was even a Tao realm sect overseeing it. Fang Chen was strong now, but it was only limited to the Tao realm. The gap between him and a Tao realm master was too great. I know what to do. Fang Chen nodded. Ever since he started cultivating in the ancient sword continent's Xingfeng nation, he had gone from being insignificant to where he was now. Only he knew the difficulties he had gone through. He had been on the brink of death countless times, but in the end, he had persevered. He had to be careful because he was from the Origin realm, which was the future of the Chaos realm. Once he died, all his relatives in the Chaos realm would disappear in the long river of history. This was not something he wanted to see. You can only take out the triangular jade pendant to study when you are sure there is no one around. Don't let anyone know. The white robe ancestor was most worried that the triangular jade pendant would attract his enemy. Fang Chen nodded, put away the triangular jade pendant, and left with the white robe ancestor. The Yunshao Palace, which used to belong to the Nine Heavens world, was on the verge of collapse because of internal strife. Because of the death of the leader of the Yunshao Palace, many forces who had submitted to the Yunshao Palace for many years rose up and fought back. The Yunshao Palace was in a state of panic. Everyone knew that it was only a matter of time before the Yunshao Palace was destroyed. Without a leader, the Nine Heavens realm suddenly became chaotic. No one was in the mood to pay attention to Fang Chen's whereabouts. In the new secret territory of the Dark Net. Because of Fang Chen's breakthrough, the overall strength of the assassin squad had increased rapidly. He had become the leader of the assassin squad. Even Wang Xian was convinced by him. They had to ask Fang Chen about everything, whether it was feasible. Just like that, under the leadership of Fang Chen, the assassin squad explored the new mystery land very smoothly. They obtained many blood demon pearls. However, it was impossible for the path of cultivation to be smooth sailing. One day, they got into an argument with a small team and ended up fighting. There were 3 members in the other team, and their strength was not weaker than Wang Xian's. This small team was also very famous in the Darknet. However, the small team of assassins actually defeated them powerfully, and even killed 2 of them. This battle shocked the world. What? Wang Xian's assassin squad destroyed the Lufeng squad? Gosh, what happened? Although Wang Xian is the strongest supreme being in the 3-dragon realm, his assassin squad is weak. How could they defeat the Lufeng squad? 3 members of the Lufeng squad are strong enough to be in the top 100 of the sovereign list. One of them is even in the top 50. How could Wang Xian defeat them? Humph, the assassin squad must have used some tricks to win. The Dark Net was in an uproar. Everyone was talking about how the assassin squad destroyed the Lufeng squad. Even some experts began to pay attention to this matter. As for the weak squads in the new Mystery Land, they firmly remembered the assassin squad. If they encountered them in the future, they would immediately avoid them. For the top squads, the assassin squad was still not worthy of their attention. Although the Lufeng squad was strong as a whole, it was not enough for them to pay full attention to them. It's just one victory. What's the big deal? This was the words of an expert from one of the top squads. It also represented the attitude of the other top squads. However, the assassin squad did not care about what the outside world thought of them. What they were most happy about was that they had obtained a lot of cultivation resources from the Lufeng squad. This made the 5 of them beam with joy. In a secret place, the members of the assassin squad were dividing up the cultivation resources of the Lufeng squad. Lu Cheng and the others gave Fong Chen a thumbs up, praising him non-stop. Wang Xian could not help but sigh. Brother Blood Mountain's progress is too fast.